All right, here we are. We are live. Welcome, welcome. Hope everybody's having a good day. Creator camp in progress. No idea what that means. Reach 575.823k followers. That seems wrong. Seems false. Actually, I gotta double check some. Okay, so the Discord audio is coming through. Howdy, howdy, everybody. Let me set up the social stream, whatever. So that should be connected. I think we're good on that front. Let me just make sure that my shoulder is in frame. And let me make sure that the I need to join on the Discord server. So that people can join if they want to join the Discord server. And then I go to control panel and I do lock. And then I do audio. Oh, Discord audio should be good. Okay. I think that we're A-okay. Howdy, howdy, everybody. Everybody's having a good day. Welcome, welcome. It's early. Well, it's like a minute early. It's not that early, right? Is that the French national anthem? It might be. Might be the French national anthem. Obama. Obama. You know, it seems a lot less fun to do that nowadays. Right? When did you know Atheismo wants you to not worship anything? Oh, I don't know that. So as you guys are streaming in, make sure to like the live stream. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to tap that like button. If you're watching on TikTok, tap the screen. Just gets more people in here so we can get the conversation started earlier. So, you know, no harm, no foul if you don't, but you should do it anyway. Also, if you're watching on TikTok and you're afraid that TikTok is horrible, you can go watch on YouTube. There's a vertical stream there as well. Alternatively, you could go watch in horizontal. And if you want to go watch in horizontal, there's another channel, a secret YouTube channel even. So if you want to go see the secret YouTube channel, it's not really a secret, go to Dr. Blitz Debunks on YouTube. That's the channel where the debate clips end up. It's the more debunking stuff, whereas the main channel is the more sciencey stuff. Of course, I still live stream on the main YouTube channel, but the videos I post on the main YouTube channel are sciencey. So if you like, you know, if you check your YouTube subscriptions and you like to see debate content pop up, even if it's not live, or if you just want to see the juiciest clips, that's the YouTube channel to go subscribe to. On the other hand, yeah, so the second channel is fairly small. It has like less than 10,000 subs. So we're trying to get that one up. On the other hand, everybody, so long as you're 18 plus, should join the Discord server. So the Discord server has been substantially improved over the last several months by our own admin Lilith, who's been great. So there's a lot to do there. There's a lot of good people there, a lot of conversation. If you're watching on TikTok, you can talk with the YouTube people in the Discord server, and vice versa. If you're watching on YouTube, you can talk to the TikTok people in the Discord server, in the live stream chat. So there's some good mixing of community there. So consider that. In the meantime, we did just start a few minutes ago, so give it a minute before we get any potential opposition. Okay. We have somebody to talk to. Let me just check one thing really quick. Here it is. I just got to write down the date. I try to take notes during these things. Let's talk to T equals plus. T equals plus. How's it going?
What's up?
Not a whole lot. Now, look, I know that your name isn't T equals plus, but it's funnier to say that. So, look, I don't believe in God. Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. And which one would that be, just so then I don't make any faulty assumptions about you?
I mean, I'd believe in Christianity, but that wouldn't be the argument for today.
Okay, so you're not going to be arguing for the thing you believe in?
Yeah, I'm not gonna be arguing for Christianity specifically currently.
Okay. Is there a reason why you're not arguing for the thing you believe in?
I can argue for Christianity after I prove God, like in general.
Okay, but so the God that you're going to be trying to prove, will that be in line with the God that, like the God of Christianity?
Yeah, it'd be compatible.
Okay, great. Yeah, so what's the argument?
Yeah, so P1, anything that could have failed to exist
Hold on, I'm going to write these down
is
since we're doing a
contingent.
syllogism. One moment.
Yeah. All right.
I just figure if we're going to do a syllogism, we may as well write it down, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And in fact, we'll even make it visible for everybody. P1.
Anything that could have failed to exist is contingent.
Okay.
Yeah, P2, anything that's contingent needs a better explanation.
I mean, we can just run through it and then I'll have some questions, but that's fine. Go ahead.
P3, the universe could have failed to exist.
Okay.
P4, the universe is needs a better explanation. So I mean,
I guess that's a conclusion one.
yeah.
Okay.
And since it needs a better explanation, that better explanation is God. That'd be.
Okay.
Any contentions?
Yeah, I mean, it's not valid. Right? Like, this is not a valid argument.
Yeah, so what's the contentions?
C2 doesn't follow from any of the premises. C2 is just like a random assertion that, you know, it's a non sequitur, if you will. But I think that I actually don't even know how you would fit this in. Like, there's no like obvious way to fit in.
Yeah, I'm just saying that anything like this thing that created the universe is God.
So
like analytically
so
true.
You're just giving a definition.
Yeah, you just say like it's analytically true.
So you're saying by definition, the better explanation for the universe is God. So is your definition of God then consistent with, say, like a guy named Jeff who simulated our universe and lives in his mom's basement and is 21 years old?
Yeah, so I take that to mean like possible worlds when that's why I'm not talking about possible worlds.
I'm not either. I'm just talking about like this is a hypothetical, right? The hypothetical being
this Jeff is a possible world where he created like the universe, like this simulated universe.
I don't think that you're understanding my contention. It sounds like the definition you're offering is not sufficient to be a useful or good definition of a God. If the definition of God that you're offering is merely any explanation for the universe, then it seems like that's just
that
not.
That could just be like the best explanation.
So you say the best explanation?
Yeah, for the universe needing a better explanation, the best explanation is God.
Okay, so then that's not a definition, right? That's not like an analytic truth.
Okay, yeah, sure. It's not an analytic truth.
So it just like
upon
it just doesn't follow.
Clarification.
So I mean, like,
yeah.
So like, and by the way, I have contentions with the rest of it too. I
can give supports, yeah.
So P1 seems like it's just a definition that you're giving for contingent. Is that fair?
Yeah, the modal definition, yeah.
Well, it's not identical to the modal definition. The modal definition is just that anything that, if you're giving like a possible world semantics kind of thing here, then the modal definition is just that if things could have been different, not necessarily that they could have failed to exist. So you could have things that can't fail to exist, but they could have been different. And then, so it's similar, but not quite the same. But it's fine.
I take that to be like possible though. Like I don't take that to be contingent within modality.
Okay, so then what modal scope are you using? So you're not using possible world semantics here?
Well, PWS, like not necessarily.
Okay, so what semantics are you using to get to contingent and get to, like, are you just using like a counterfactual or?
Not really counterfactual. It's just like, well, it's just meta ontology. Like that's how I would say it within the sense
So when you
of
say
possible
could have
worlds.
failed to exist, it sounds like could have failed to exist sounds like you're saying it's possible that this thing didn't exist. So the question is merely, what do you mean by possible here?
I mean, like possible, we could just mean within this pictorial ersatz world that this X entity doesn't exist.
Sorry, can you repeat the first part? Your audio's quality is not great, so it was a little bit hard to hear you.
Yeah, pictorial ersatz worlds.
Sorry,
It's a meta-modal framework.
I'm one more time. What sets world?
Pictorial
Pictorial, and then what was the second word?
ersatz.
Ersatz. Okay.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that means. Can you explain that?
It's like a meta-modal framework saying that possible worlds are not concrete like modal realism, but that they represent what could be.
Yeah, okay, no, I'm not assuming the possible worlds are concrete. I'm just in the language of possible worlds is that when you say that a thing is possible or a thing is not possible, you mean that there is a sense in which things that could be, or that you can imagine that things could be, or that they could have possibly been. That's what you mean by I think that we're talking about the same thing here.
Yeah.
I'm
not assuming
concreteness
like
here.
a modal law.
Okay. So that's fine. P1 is just a definition. P2, anything that's contingent needs a better explanation. Better than what?
Yeah, better than itself because it could have failed to exist.
Better explanation
But yet
than
exists.
itself. Well, generally we don't say that a thing explains itself, right?
Yeah, that'd be autological.
Right. So like it seems like P2 isn't really. It seems like by P2 you mean to say something like anything that's contingent needs an external explanation, something like this.
Yeah, within a sense.
Okay. And then P3 you say the universe could have failed to exist. So to be clear, P1 is a definition. P2, this is the PSR, right? P3 seems like an assertion of fact.
Yeah,
why should I believe that the universe could have failed to exist?
Yeah, so I take the universe just to be the collection of onticities. Onticities can be understood as first-order entities or entities within the world. Since this collection, the onticities themselves are contingent, therefore the collection of them are contingent as well.
How does that follow?
How does it follow that onticities are contingent?
No, how does it? Well, I mean, yes, that's a question too. But how does it follow that because each element of a set is contingent, it follows that the set itself is contingent?
I mean, yeah, there's like no reason to believe that it's necessary.
That's not an argument, right? That's not an argument for the claim.
Yes, it's support.
No, it's not. You're just saying the same thing.
What do you think an argument is?
I mean, you're just saying the same thing. You're basically just saying the contrapositive of the same thing. I asked you. An argument isn't just the contrapositive of the claim.
Yeah, it's a contrastive inference that doesn't actually explain anything.
Yeah, so that's what you just offered. You offered something that doesn't explain anything.
Yeah, so what is an argument, to be clear?
I mean, you could give some sort of deductive some set of deductive line. Sorry, I can't speak. You could give some set of premises that lead to a deductive line of reasoning for which I accept the premises and the conclusion necessarily follows. That would be an argument, or at least that's one type of argument.
Yeah, I mean, that would be like a certain nomological necessity.
I didn't a certain I didn't say anything about necessity. Also, there's nothing nomological about what I just said.
Necessary.
No.
Well, yeah, I think just like maybe like an equivocation on what nomological means.
Nomological means like governed by laws of physics, that kind of thing, or laws of nature.
Yeah, that's not what I mean within this instance.
Okay. Then I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, it's like nomological just to mean necessary or possible given the stipulations of the framework.
Necessary or possible. Okay, that's fine. So look, it's just not clear why it's just. Well, sure. So supports should give me at least the way that I typically reason with regards to premises for arguments. You can either provide another argument whose conclusion is the premise in question, or you can provide some sort of perhaps intuitive justification, which is obviously going to be weaker, but it at least will provide some kind of support. You could provide some sort of inductive reasoning. You could provide some sort of reasoning, but just saying the contrapositive, if I don't already accept the premise, why would I accept the contrapositive of the premise?
Wait, so you say that, yeah, so it's a true dichotomy about possible or necessary within modality. If the things that make up the entity, as in the universe, are contingent, then it couldn't be necessary.
Why not?
Yeah, because the things that make, are you listening to me?
Yep.
The things that make up the universe are not necessary. Therefore, it cannot be necessary.
That seems like it's relying on like a metaphysics of like reductionism. But say reject that.
So you
say I'm a
can be
monist,
made
for
up.
example. Say I'm like a priority monist.
I mean, just to be clear, you're saying that you can be made up by purely first order entities in the sense that contingent entities and you yourself is still a necessary entity?
Yeah, that's what priority monism is. At least that's kind of an implication of priority monism.
Yeah, what's the reason for this?
I mean, are you asking what's the reason why you might hold the belief? Or are you asking like what's the justification for the view? Or are you asking like what's like the evidence for the view? Like what are you asking for? What are you asking for? Look, this is your argument. If you're
for the proposition, there's no like, justification.
If you're going to make an argument, and then I offer something that I offer a potential counter argument, it's not even something I necessarily hold to, then you at least better be able to provide a positive argument for your claim. It's not sufficient to just say, I don't agree with the counter arguments. Like, that's not going to do anything.
I mean, just like, let's just go off prima facie reasoning real quick. Like, just to put the burden of proof on you.
Yeah, why would I allow you to burden switch?
Yeah, because that's what prima facie does. That's an implication of what prima facie reasoning is.
Yeah, why would I let that happen? Why would I let you switch the burden when you're the one trying to provide an evidence for or provide an argument for God?
Do you know what like prima facie means?
It means on face.
Yeah, off face value. What do you think it implies?
It depends on what language not what language, but it depends on what context you're talking in. In the law, it means something very different. In casual conversation, it means something very different. Can you elaborate?
It just means like until superseding evidence that this off face value reasoning stands.
Okay, so if you want until sufficient evidence. Okay, so now you're just asserting that this premise that you're providing just holds because it just seems true on face value. That's a seeming, and look, that might be a very compelling reason that it seems true to you.
Support holds, to be clear.
That might be a very compelling reason for it seeming true to you and why you might accept the premise. But if you're trying to provide an argument that is supposed to be compelling to others, then it's not sufficient to just say, well, it seems true to me.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying.
It is what you're saying. You're saying, look, this premise on face seems
is prima facie true.
Yeah, I know that's what you're saying, and that means it seems true to me. So unless you can provide a counterexample, we're going to assume it's true. That's just not compelling. It's not compelling if you're trying to convince somebody of something and they disagree.
Just to be clear, that's where every single debate goes to, prima facie reasoning.
So it sounds like you're telling me that you can't provide an argument that has unobjectionable premises that...
Yeah, but your definition of argument, it makes that supports can't be arguments.
You can offer an support for a premise in an argument that's itself an argument. There's no issue there.
Yeah, not within this context, though.
You can do it. I'm not stopping you.
I'm not saying that you're stopping me. I'm saying that this support is not an argument because it's not composed of many premises that lead to conclusion.
That's fine. But the argument, but the support you're providing is merely, yeah, well, it seems right to me, and so it's true unless you can prove it otherwise. Like that's just not a compelling support for a premise.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's ultimately true. I'm just saying off face value that seems true. And I have no reason to not suggest that's not true.
That's fine. It might be compelling to you, right?
Yeah.
It's just not going to be compelling to me.
That's not true?
Yeah, there are serious philosophers who take the idea of priority monism seriously. There's an entire Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy page on priority monism, which, you know, at least when I read through that page, it seems at least plausible. It doesn't seem hilariously contradictory. So this seems like something that needs to be at least handled by the argument.
Is that an appeal to authority?
It's better than an appeal to prima facie.
Isn't it an appeal to authority, just to be clear?
Yeah, isn't a prima facie appeal to seemings?
Yeah, so you just agreed that you committed a logical fallacy.
Yeah, is prima facie an appeal to seemings?
I wouldn't say so. Like,
oh, okay. So then, can you explain how just declaring prima facie is supportive of your argument?
Yeah, I can do that in a sec. But you do agree that you just commit an error in reasoning, right?
Not really. No. I wasn't trying to support my argument. I wasn't making an argument, right? Now, surely I was appealing to authority, but appealing to authority or appealing to experts is more proper here. Appealing to experts is not fallacious necessarily. It is not faulty reasoning necessarily. It is if you're trying to make a deductive argument, surely. But I was not trying to make a deductive argument.
You said that it's an appeal to authority. You agreed to this.
Yeah, so sure, you're right. I agreed. I agreed. I was appealing to authority. And so if you interpreted that to mean that I was saying it's true because the authority says it, then you misunderstood or I misspoke.
That's just like the colloquial sense of what an appeal to authority
means. I was merely saying that I was relying on authority as providing some degree of justification for why it's at least reasonable to believe something. Yeah, and in this case, these are experts, and that's actually like fairly good epistemology generally.
Experts are good epistemology?
No,
yeah,
so
how?
Believing experts in their domain of expertise is generally pretty good epistemology if you don't have expertise yourself.
Yeah, I would say that in the sense of like empirical subjects, like scholarship within holy texts or history,
but not
necessarily
philosophy. Okay, so yeah. Holy texts, history, empirics, but not philosophy. It seems awfully like we're doing some special pleading here.
Special pleading? How?
Yeah, we're singling out philosophy as not not having appeal to expertise as being a valid mode of epistemology. Do you agree that you just committed a logical fallacy, an informal logical fallacy?
I want to say that appealing to or special pleading is somehow informal, but to be clear, I did not do that.
Okay. So do you want to provide like some sort of support or justification that might be compelling to somebody who doesn't already agree with you, that at least priority monism is false, or perhaps that the universe is necessarily contingent? I shouldn't say necessarily contingent, I should just say it is contingent.
Well, I mean, I take it that it's contingent de re, but I want to see how, given the premises, the universe being made up of first-order entities or onticities, that somehow means that's necessary, as in it exists within all possible worlds.
Well, so, I mean, it's just not clear to me. Like, it's not clear to me that the objects that make up the universe are contingent, right? Yeah, the objects that make up the universe could be necessary. But even if the objects that make up the universe are contingent, you could just rely on priority monism and just say they're contingent upon the universe as a whole, where the universe is the fundamental necessary object. So it seems like that there's kind of two different ways that you can plausibly say that the universe as a whole is not contingent.
Yeah, like within all possible worlds, at least every single first order entity doesn't exist. Do you agree to this, right?
Within all possible worlds. Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, within all possible worlds, there's at least one world where every single first order entity doesn't exist.
Where every single first order entity doesn't exist. Are you including in the first order entities those things that don't exist?
Well, first order entities, what I mean is like a rock or a tree, like direct entities.
Yeah, so I don't see why that would be true, especially if you're a necessitarian. If you're a necessitarian, then the view is merely that all first-ordered entities, to use your language, exist in all possible worlds.
Yeah, can you name me like a first order entity that is necessary? Like,
Well,
I want to be
a
clear.
necessitarian, which, like, depending on the kind of the scope, really, depending on the scope, like, I take necessitarianism seriously. The view is that every object exists in all possible worlds. Every object that exists in the actual worlds exists in all possible worlds.
Yeah, that's just like absurd based off like S4 modal logic.
Okay. Argument ad absurdum. I mean, that is a real method of argumentation, but just declaring it absurd isn't the way to do it.
Yeah, it's absurd.
Yeah.
To say
So
that
how does S4
every
modal
first order
logic?
entity
How does
is
S4 modal
necessary.
logic get you to a first order object? Get you to a possible world in which a first order object does not exist?
Yeah, because it doesn't break necessarily a modal logical law to say that a tree can fail to exist or doesn't exist within this world.
Yeah. So we're using a. Did you say a modal law?
Yeah, S4 modal logic.
Yeah. So what is the set of axioms that are applied to the collection of possible worlds?
Axioms, like,
Yeah,
what
you
do
could call
mean?
them. So I mean, I'm using axioms because we don't want to talk about like physical laws, but clearly there's going to be some set of axioms or true statements
have to
about
go.
every possible world, right? What?
Yeah, I have to go. Like, my bad. I'll probably, yeah.
All right, take care, bud. Man, he Philbroed hard. But you know, it's weird, right? Because at least when Philbros typically come in, at least their arguments are initially valid. But like his initial argument wasn't even valid from the get-go. Like he blundered right away. Now, if I knew that he was going to be, he was fairly bad faith. He wasn't super bad faith, but he was at least fairly bad faith. If I knew that he was going to be bad faith from the get-go, I would have just called him out on the blunder. But like he seemed like he was actually trying to be honest, at least at first. But you know, then he pulled out the prima facie stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, so you're just declaring it true and shifting the burden, even though you know that that's what you're doing. No, it wasn't super bad faith, but like he was just trying to avoid supporting his arguments by shifting the burden, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that one bit. Now, from Germs Rossalino just sent 10 Dr. Blitz gift memberships. Now that's enormous. That's a huge donation. So thank you so much, Germs. And what that means for the 10 people watching who got the gift memberships is that, well, first you have to go accept them. But once you accept them, then you can go land and find the debate notes. And the debate notes have a whole bunch of different arguments and resources and, you know, pieces of evidence and sources for all sorts of the debates that I do, whether it's MAGA or Flat Earth or Young Earth or theism. You now have access to those, as well as access to all of the emojis. So congrats. And if you guys are interested in those debate notes, then it's like $4 or $5 a month. So consider doing it. And from JM Harapix with the thumbs up, thank you for the $2, JM. All right, so let's talk to 85RR. $85, how's it going?
Blitz, what's going on?
Not a whole lot. $85, do you believe in a god?
I do. I'm a Buddhist.
You're a Buddhist. Okay, well, as far as I'm aware, and I'm not so well informed on Buddhism, but as far as I'm aware, not all Buddhists believe in God. So what god do you believe in?
That's not true. So I'm going to correct you. What Buddhists believe is that we are gods. We don't believe in a
I don't think that's true of all Buddhism.
Because you're not really informed. There's no Bible that we read, no stuff like that. But I get what you're getting at, but you should do a little bit more research on Buddhism. It's not Hinduism. Yeah, Buddha specifically means teacher. Oh, it looks like your guy ran, chat.
Sorry, I'm here. One sec.
You doing more research?
Right. So, oh, I'm not supposed to quote her. Okay. So I have been informed that Theravada Buddhism might not believe in a god. And what was the other one? And Mayahana Buddhism does believe, might believe in a god.
Let me correct you again.
Okay, go ahead.
That there is a God in the Jesus Christ or the Buddha, the Muslim sense of the word God. They believe what we believe is everything on this earth, even the tree outside, is a God. This is what all Buddhist philosophies teach.
I don't know if that's true. Can you look, if that's what you believe, that's fine.
No, it's not about me.
Look, I don't mean to just like assert this, but like I've spoken with, I've interacted with many Buddhists, and they haven't all believed in God. So I think you're using
anecdotal evidence.
Well, look, so if there are Buddhists who don't believe in a God, then it sounds like you're a little. It sounds like you're just a little confused about what you believe versus what everybody believes.
You're just uninformed.
I mean,
which is fine.
Hold on one sec.
To sit here and try to say something like that because you don't understand it, that's kind of asinine.
Hold on.
So you're telling me that now Buddhists are atheists?
No, I didn't say all Buddhists are atheists. I said that Buddhists can be.
So how can a Buddhist be an atheist? What is Buddha? What is Buddhism?
Buddhism is a really broad branch of Eastern philosophy that has a crossover with theology.
And none of it has anything to do with not believing in a God. You're saying that
being a Buddhist doesn't require believing a God.
Points with whatever. But your point is you just are uninformed about what Buddhism is, which is fine.
So, look, my only claim is that being a Buddhist doesn't require believing in a God.
Well, this is the thing.
Do you think that being a Buddhist requires believing in a God?
Listen, I just told you. Buddhists don't believe in a sky god like
I'm not talking about a sky god.
Buddhists believe
why are you strawmanning my view?
I'm not.
Yeah, you are. I'm not saying a sky god.
We do believe in gods. We believe we're gods. We believe the trees are gods. We believe the grass is God. We believe everything is a god, so you must treat it like that.
Okay, what do you mean by the word God?
That's the foundation of Buddhism.
Can you define what you mean by the word God?
I just told you.
Okay,
if
so
a tree
can you define the word? Can you define the word for me?
If I just told you a tree is a god, you should be able to get your definition from there.
Okay, so a god is a tree. Got it.
This is not rocket science. I get you're a mathematical guy and not a theoretical guy, but that's fine.
That's a weird thing to say. Look,
that's what you are.
So
you're
can you define the word God for me, please?
No, I'm not going to. I just told you I'm a god.
Okay, you're not going to define the word God for me. So you're not going to define the thing. You're not going to define the thing that you believe in.
I just told you. You want me to give you a definition for a word? I've defined the term 5 times already. You want me to give a definition for a word so that you can use it.
I just want to know what word you mean. I just want to know what you mean by the word.
You think a God is a cosmic creator. That's what you think a God is.
So what do you think a God is?
A basic human.
Okay, look,
you can be a lower level God and I can be a higher level God.
It sounds like as far as I'm concerned, you're an atheist.
No, absolutely
not. What's the distinction?
I have a creator.
So when I say I'm an atheist, what I mean is
you don't believe in God.
Well, why don't you let me finish? When I say I'm an atheist, what I mean is that I don't think that there is an entity or a being that is responsible for creating or giving rise to the universe. Maybe grounding the universe, whatever. That's what I think. That's what it means when I say I'm an atheist. So what do you mean? So do you think that there is a cosmic, or do you think that please, I was in the middle of a sentence. Do you think that there is a being or an entity that is responsible for creating or grounding the universe?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Great. So then you believe in a God in the sense that I don't believe in a God. I'm glad we agree.
I just told you I believe in a God.
So okay, so
you not listen.
So why should I think that there is such an entity that created or grounds the universe?
Well, how did you get here?
My parents.
Right. So you had a creator. How did they get here?
The question is not.
How did they
had their parents.
Oh, okay. So I just told you I think that we are all gods. So how did they get here?
They had their parents.
So the common denominator in this situation is that somebody created them. Two people created them.
Yeah.
You name me another situation in which two sperms, or which one sperm and one egg, or one person and one person hasn't or can't create.
Yeah, so when yeah, I can do that for you. I got you. I got you. 85, I got you. I got you. Yeah, so when
tell me about the spontaneous person.
Yeah. So when a bacteria divides into two bacteria, it does not have two parents.
So when have you ever observed two bacterias evolving into humans?
When have I ever observed two bacterias evolving into humans?
Yeah.
What does that have to do with what I just said?
Because if this is the process of how life is created, we should have been created like that.
What does this have to do with what I just said? I
just told you. You just said that's how things are created.
No, I didn't say that. I gave you an example. I gave you an example of a thing.
Blitz,
don't cut me off.
What brought me up here in the first place? It's because you told somebody on one of your other panels that there's no wind.
You're being
there's no wind on Earth.
Oh,
is this true?
Oh, you're being bad faith.
Is this true, Blitz?
Did I say that there's no wind? No, of course there's wind.
Yes.
Don't be a dumbass. Of course there's wind.
You told people there's no wind on this earth before.
When would I ever? Why would I ever tell anyone that there's no wind?
From Earth.
Wow, this crash out is hilarious.
I'm not crashing out at all.
It sounds like you're crashing out. You seem really upset.
You would say that because you can't prove your point, so you want to try to find a way to get them out of here.
85. Look, the 85. The point is that I gave you an example of an organism that doesn't have two parents.
You're just a crybaby, sir, and that's okay.
Do you need your bottle?
Oh, nice try, baby boy.
Oh, this is so sad for you.
Nice
You're
try,
deflecting when I gave you a counterexample to the claim that you made.
Solve it really fast. No,
yeah, so I gave you a counterexample to your claim.
Because you're nothing.
85. I gave you a counterexample to your claim.
No, you didn't. You just said a bunch of bullshit. Name something that doesn't
85.
have a creator. Name one thing that doesn't have 85. A creator.
Can you let me talk for maybe 15 seconds would be good?
Well, you
so that I can answer your question.
Lying. You keep
okay,
lying.
I just have to mute you. So your original claim is that everything has two creators, has two parents. I gave you a counterexample, bacteria. Bacteria don't have that. They have one progenitor that no longer exists.
I didn't say everything has two parents.
Well, you asked me for an example. You're right. You didn't say that. You asked me for an example.
Two bacteria turned into humans.
I'm sorry, that happened after I gave you the counterexample.
No, you're lying again.
Oh, do you want to watch the playback? Because we have the playback.
Yes, please play it. Yes,
okay.
Because I know you're lying.
Yeah, let's watch the playback. You got to shut up, though, while the playback's playing. You understand that, right?
Come on.
Okay.
Come on, liar.
You're watching on TikTok. Tap the screen. Just gets more people in here.
Should have been created like...
Here we go. My parents. Means when I say I'm an atheist. Why is the audio quality so shit? Yeah. Anyway.
You name me another situation in which two sperms, or which one sperm and one egg, or one person and one person hasn't or can't create.
Yeah, so when I can do that for you. I got you. I got you. 85, I got you. I got you. Yeah, so when
tell me about the spontaneous person.
Yeah. So when a bacteria divides into two bacteria, it does not have two parents. So you hear that? You can unmute now.
That wasn't about parents. Play that again.
Oh yeah. Let's play it again.
How about your spontaneous person?
Oh no, I was addressing the first thing that you said, not the thing that you added afterwards. Yeah. Let's play it again.
Let's go. Two people created. They're all gods. So how did they get here?
They had their parents.
So the common denominator in this situation is that somebody created them. Two people created them.
Yeah.
You name me another situation in which two sperms, or which one sperm and one egg, or one person and one person hasn't or can't create.
Yeah, so that's what I was addressing.
No.
So here's an example of bacteria not requiring two sperms or a sperm and an egg. I don't know why you said two sperms, by the way. That was crazy.
We're talking about humans.
Oh, we weren't talking about humans. You just gave me. You just asked for an example.
I literally said humans.
Do you want to play it again?
One sperm and one egg, or one person and one. Me another situation in which two sperms, or which one sperm and one egg, or one. You name me another situation.
You said, "Can you give me another situation?"
No, two sperms.
You didn't say the word humans.
You're lying again, Blitz, and that's fine.
Yeah,
because you're a mathematical guy. That's why it's easy for me to beat you in this.
We'll do it again.
You'll never. Two sperms, two people created them.
Yeah.
An intellectual debate that doesn't contain math. You'll beat me in situation in which two sperms, or which one sperm and one.
Yeah.
You name me another situation in which
Keep
two
playing. I
sperms,
want you to
or
keep
which one
playing that
sperm
shit,
and one
'cause you
egg, or
sound
one
stupid.
person and one person hasn't or can't create.
Yeah, so
Prove
when
it.
You say
a
you person, human.
yeah, so I gave you an example in which there were not two persons involved
No,
in
you
creating.
didn't.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Are two persons involved in creating a bacteria?
No, are two people involved in creating a person?
Yeah, but that's not what you asked.
what I
You
asked
asked for
you.
just another situation.
No, I didn't. I asked you, when have two bacteriums ever split to cause a human?
No, that was afterwards.
No, you're lying.
No, we can play it
just
again.
played
We
it
can.
3 times.
Yeah,
let's
I can
play
do
it
that
again,
for
'cause
you.
you
I
lied
got.
about
Hold on.
4,000
Here, I
times.
got you.
You're
85,
lying.
85. I got you. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
no,
when.
you tell me about the spontaneous person.
Yeah. So when a bacteria divides into two bacteria, it does not have two parents.
So when have you ever observed two bacterias evolving into humans?
See, that happened after I gave you the answer, not before.
Yeah, let's backtrack on your lies.
No, see, when you asked me about when two bacteria have evolved into humans, that happened after I brought up the
No, it
bacteria. Yeah.
No, it didn't.
I literally just
No,
played
it
it for
didn't.
you. Are you deaf
No, it
or are you
didn't.
just stupid?
I literally just asked you about humans.
The question
It's
that you
never
asked was
happened.
about
Two bacteria
can
have
you
never
name
split to make a human.
another that's irrelevant for the point that you asked. You asked for
No,
a
it's not.
situation
It's literally-
in which
I
this
asked
is
you, when can you show this?
85. Do you think that your crash out here and your failure to understand your own words from not 5 minutes ago is going to look well in the playback that's going to go on YouTube in the future?
I'm going to clip this whole thing. And
You
then
don't
make
have
a
to
video
clip it.
about all
I'm going to
the
be
times
posting
that
it on
you're
YouTube
wrong.
today.
That's fine, and I'm going to post you too to tell everybody
Okay,
you're wrong
please.
because you lie about a lot of shit. Because they
I'm
can literally
sure.
play back.
We have the
videos.
playback.
You lied when you told that dude up here the other day that there's no wind on Earth.
I don't think
You
I
lied
ever
when
said
you
that there
told
was no
people you
wind
can
on
use
Earth.
the theodolite. You can use the theodolite to measure Earth's curves from Earth. These are
Yeah,
things as a physicist.
that's not a lie.
you
That's
should know.
that's something that
That
Baron
is a lie.
Rutledge did.
And he's an idiot. I already went on his page and told him he's an idiot.
I'm sure you
'Cause
did.
you can't use a theodolite to measure Earth's curve from Earth.
Sure you
That
can.
is wrong. No, you
Sure you
can't.
can.
You're a fraud.
Oh, I'm a fraud.
You're a fraud.
Okay.
You'd be a fraud
Okay.
if you did that. No
Okay.
credible construction company would tell
Oh,
RJ Ryan that.
so like
Tell
the
RJ
Baron
Ryan
Rutledge,
Yeah,
you know, a
hey,
credible
listen.
surveyor and
Yeah, you're
employed
talking
surveyor.
About, yeah, you're talking about the guy that writes $50 as 50%. He literally thinks when you write something for half, you write 500.00 and then throw a percent sign on it. You're talking about that guy.
Yeah,
you're talking
half
about
of
that
half
guy.
of something is 50.00%.
No.
That is true.
No,
that is half of something.
Half of something is 0.5.
Yeah, or
1 over
50.00%. Those mean the same thing.
No, sir. You have to
Wait,
put the decimal in the right spot.
50.00% is the same as 0.5.
50.00 is not the same as 50%.
Do you mean? Yeah, so 500% is different from 50%.
Yeah, so talk to your
if
guy.
you do
Baron Rutledge about this. I'm not the one that doesn't know where to put the decimal. That's your buddy Baron Rutledge.
So just to be clear,
too.
I got to check something because you did say I was a math guy, so I have to check your math.
Well, you are a math guy.
Yeah. Okay, so let's check your math here. I just want to double.
How good?
I just want to double check your math here. Sorry, I got to pull up the notepad file.
Smart.
Why isn't the notepad file coming up? One moment.
Yeah, I bet. See, this is what your guy Baron had to do before I had to cook his ass too.
There we go. There it is. Okay, so just to double check, do you think that this is not equal to 0.5?
No, it's not.
Oh. So you aren't deaf, you are just dumb.
No, that's not the same.
Oh, these are definitely the same.
That's mathematically not the same.
These are absolutely mathematically the same.
Google in your AI, he'll tell you no.
Okay. Do you wanna check? Yeah. So
Yep,
we're just gonna go to Google AI. Okay.
I've already pasted it on my page.
Okay. We're just gonna go to Google AI. Is 50.00% the same as 0.5?
It's because you put the percentage sign there.
Okay. Actually, what we might have to go to because it's not using the AI. Oh, AI mode. Here we go. Yes, 50.00% is mathematically the same as 0.5.
No, go to the equation because you got to divide it to get that.
That's what percent means.
No, that's where the difference is.
That's what percent means. These two things are mathematically the same. You said that AI wouldn't say it. Did you pass like third grade mathematics?
No, I did.
Okay, so then, so look, I gotta ask, what is 20% of 10?
Oh God. Oh my God. What is 20% of 10?
Uh-huh.
You fucking idiot. What's 5 times 4?
Can you ask me what 20% of 10 is?
5 times 4, stupid? And you know why I'm asking you that.
Hold on, I will answer your question if you answer my question. What is 20% of 10?
5 times 4. It's in those same numbers.
What's 20% of 10?
Yeah.
Oh, this is awkward. This is like so awkward.
20% of 10.
Yeah, what is it?
All right.
Like if you have a $10 bill and you want to leave a 20% tip, how much extra money do you leave? I didn't think I'd be teaching second grade arithmetic at 9:45 in the morning on a Monday.
I don't leave 20% tips on $10. I just give them a 10.
Okay, if you have a $50 bill, I was trying to ask you an easy question. If you have a $50 bill,
I bet you were.
Let's say you eat out at a nice restaurant. You eat out at a really nice restaurant, right? 85. Let's say that you eat out at a really nice restaurant. You spend $200. You spend $200. You want to leave a 20% tip. You want to leave a 20% tip. How much do you leave?
That's why I didn't want to answer, because it's such a small.
How much do you leave? How much do you leave? How much do you leave on a $200 bill with a 20% tip? How much do you leave?
That's why I didn't even answer him, man.
You didn't answer because you didn't answer because you don't know how to do mathematics. That's true.
I don't tip on a percentage scale. I tip by whole numbers, sir.
Oh, okay. So can you just answer the question?
9 times out of 10, you're gonna get a big tip.
Okay. How about this? 85. Maybe this will. So let's say that you take out a loan.
Let's get back to your prompt.
85. Let's say you take out a loan for 85. Let's say 85.
I don't take out loans. I make money.
Okay, 85. Let's say that you're loaning your friend.
I don't take out loans. I make money.
Let's say that you're loaning your friend $1,000.
I don't take.
Bro can't engage in hypotheticals at all.
I don't give loans. I give gifts.
Bro never works with money at all. He just
I do.
Let's say you have. Okay, how about this? 85.
I give away more than what you're
okay.
worth.
85. Let's say that you have your investments, right? Let's say that you have your investments. You have your investments, and you're 85. You are a brilliant. You're a brilliant investor. You're a brilliant investor. 85. You bought only gold. You only have gold. 85. You only have gold, right? You buy $10,000 worth of gold. Yeah, so 85, I know, you only buy metal. I know, you only buy metal. 85, you only buy metal. Let's say that you buy metal. So you buy $10,000 worth of gold.
And pallets of grills.
85, that's fine. Let's say you buy $10,000 worth of gold. Hey, 85, hold on. Hey, 85, do you think that like your inability to answer a basic percentage question makes you look like the intelligent one in this conversation?
I'm not trying to be a smarter than you type guy. I'm just.
You're not trying to be smarter than anybody, apparently.
I don't care about trying to do this when I make more than you.
Are you sure?
Why would I care? Why would I care about this? I've given away more than you've made off of your degree.
Are you sure?
Why would I care?
Are you
about
sure?
Intelligence? Yeah. Hey, I can tell you right now, the Safe Streets Task Force had me at 900K at 19. Have you ever done 900K in a year?
I have not done 900K in a year. You're right.
Well, then shut the fuck up talking about money and numbers.
Okay. You're right. You make more money than me. You got me. You make more money than me doing useless nothing. So 85, we can get back to the prompt if you can answer this simple question. What is 20% of 200?
Hey, listen, do you want to be my accountant? Is that what you want?
I make more than you. I don't have to do math.
Do you need a job?
I can't believe that's what you're doing.
I pay somebody to do it and I use a calculator.
Do you own a home? Do you own a home, 85?
I have three. One in Minnesota, one in Vallejo, and one in Columbus.
Okay, congrats. I'm glad. You should probably learn mathematics so that
30-acre farm.
You should probably learn mathematics so that you don't get scammed by an accountant.
Why?
So that you don't get scammed. Oh, but if you don't know math, then you might get scammed.
The best thing about having a mom that was a CFO of a bank.
Oh, you're a trust fund. You're a trust fund baby. Got it.
No, not at all.
Your
Not at
mom was
all.
a CFO of a bank, and you're not a trust fund baby. Got it. You're a trust fund baby who doesn't even know how to do percentages. This is so rough for you.
Hustle, bro.
Have you ever? Have you ever had?
I'm not a loan guy.
Look,
you're a handout guy.
Look, have you ever had such a bad showing that you don't even know how embarrassed you'll be in 5 years when you go back and look at the recording? Because this is gonna be rough.
I've had to hustle for everything I got. I bought my homes.
Hold on.
You got student loans.
I had to hustle for everything I got. My mom was just the CFO of a bank.
It sure is, and I don't ask for money like you would. I know you did. Like I know you paid for your school with student loans.
I don't have any student loans.
Stop lying, Blitz.
No, I don't have any student loans.
Yourself. Stop lying.
No,
beggar.
I got scholarships, my guy.
That's why you're on TikTok begging for pennies. You didn't get a scholarship, bro. I got an athletic scholarship. I know you never got no shit like that. I know nobody's ever wanted you to come to their campus and perform anything. Blitz, I can't even hear. You're muted.
Oh, that's a bummer, because that was a good burn. Yeah, I've never heard such an arrogant, condescending Nepo baby that doesn't know how to do math before.
You're a corny ass joker. You don't. Oh, this was a big burn. Shut your nerd ass up.
Imagine thinking calling someone a nerd in 2026 is an insult.
You are a nerd. You're a nerd.
Your mom's a nerd. She's a CFO.
You're a dweeb. No, she's a CFO. Your mom was a flatback fucker for free. A free slut. You understand me? Yeah, your mom was a flesh hoover. Don't get mad at me because you couldn't afford shit.
I'm sorry.
Fuck out of here.
Are we insulting each other's moms now? Because
that's what you want to do? Look,
I didn't insult your mom. I just said what your mom's job was because you told me what.
Ugly bird. Look at your nose, big bird beak. You understand me? Look at your nose, big bird.
Look, I'm not gonna go around here and defend my mom. I'm just gonna say she modeled in college. She has a doctorate. Oh no. Oh no. Should I? Okay, so it says I have to remove him because
you should stick to the math shit. That's cool.
It says 85 Flyers live content contains themes that some may find uncomfortable. If they remain in your live may be unavailable for some audiences. So I should probably kick you. But just keep in mind, I wasn't actually insulting your mom. I wasn't actually insulting your mom. I was just telling you what you said your mom did. But that is going to go on YouTube. And for what it's worth, my mother is brilliant. And, you know, despite what you may think about me, she definitely did model when she was in high school and college because she's 5'10" and was super scrawny. And that's what modeling agencies like, right? So, you know, make fun of me all you want, but don't bring my mom into this. That's crazy. All right. That was nutty, though. What a guy. I can't believe that he couldn't, like, do basic arithmetic. And, like, look, his mom was a CFO, right? Which, like, CFOs, they're finance nerds. Right? You can't be, like, I feel like you don't end up as CFO if you're not, like, a finance nerd. Yeah, also, okay, we have some super chats to read. Some of these are really funny. Yeah, almost certainly he made all of that up. From Germs Rosselino sending another 10 memberships. Did I already read that? No, this is just another 10 memberships. That's enormous. Thank you so much, Germs. And from Brand Does Metal with the $5. This dude has to be the angriest and most judgmental Buddhist I've ever met. My guy needs to wusa and eat some fruit or something, right? He was so angry. Look, I've met a lot of Buddhists. There were Buddhists involved in my wedding. He was so angry. From Carrie Yost with the $5. Caller is struggling with the idea that a tree isn't compatible with a god. Is it a thing or everything? Yeah, so he was trying really hard to be like pantheist, I think. But I think that he's actually just a Christian, like a bad Christian at that. From Seabar, your guests, thank you for the $5, by the way. Your guests so far may have been bad faith, but your performance is top notch. No glaze, I learned from you. Well, I appreciate it, Seabar. I do my best. And then we have, that's from Seabar again. From Boogie the Cat with the $2, ask him if Carbon is bisexual. I should have, that would have been really funny. From Frost King with the $2, donate this to a math teacher, please. Does that count as me? Do I get to keep that? I mean, I probably will keep it because donating $2 to anyone in like a formal way that's not just on YouTube is a little bit tricky. From Pat in the chat with the $5, caller thinks 50.00% is not the same as 0.5. Fucking yikes. Yeah, bro was bragging about his success, which I bet he doesn't have, because he couldn't do basic mathematics, which is really embarrassing. Germs Roslino again with the 10 Dr. Blitz gift memberships. I don't know if you sent it twice. I don't know if you've sent so far 40 gift memberships, but if you have, however many you've sent, thank you so much. That means a lot, and it means a lot for the people who get them too. Tom Roach sent a cake, which is 1,000 joules. Thank you for that. From Chase Martin with the $5, $900,000 per year, only buys chains, 3 homes, classic Buddhist. They're huge on material possessions and personal insults, I hear. Indeed they are. Indeed they are. By the way, that was the thing that made me like snort laugh. Okay, we have some guests in the Discord, so we should bring them up next. Let us bring up our first guest from the Discord server. Let's just double check. By the way, how's my audio quality? Because the playback on YouTube really wasn't that good, but I don't know if that was just like because I was hearing it or if the playback was just crap. Does that count as me? Is my audio quality that bad right now, or even on YouTube, is it okay? Okay, it sounds good. Okay, we're good. Okay, let's bring up a guest from, oh, we have one more super chat, and then we'll bring up a guest from Discord. From Callsign Sam with the $10. That's it, I'm buying you a stream deck for the single purpose of having a soundboard. Missed opportunity for, hey pal, you just blew in from Stupid Town. Look, if you buy me a stream deck, I will use it. I don't know what a stream deck is, but I will use it to try to make a soundboard. In fact, I will write down figure out soundboard stuff so I can use hey blow or hey pal. Did you just blow in from Stupid Town? It's such a good line. All right, let's bring up a guest. Mewtwo, how's it going? Oh, I have to unmute you. Oh, you're unmuted. Mewtwo. It's going all right, although for some reason I can't hear you from getting a phone call. I'm sorry, one sec. Give me a sec. Sorry, that was about my recent hospital visit, and I had to, I figured it's a long conversation, so I just asked them to call me back. Mewtwo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, and I think that everybody should be able to hear you as well. So, Mewtwo, do you believe in a god?
Yes, I do.
Okay, let me just turn you up really quick, because you're a little bit on the quiet end. Okay, so you believe in a god. Which god would that be?
So whenever I'm ever put in that position, I wait to apply a name or anything until after the discussions happen, because until then, there's not really enough syntax that we share about the discussion point for me to put a label there, right? So
Okay,
I try to treat it as
fair
the
enough.
unknowable god.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But can you at least give me some properties of the thing? Just because otherwise it's not clear what you're trying to argue that exists.
Okay,
right?
So for starts, I'll try and show you some description points of it. For example,
Sure.
I see your posting shows you're an atheist. Can you convince me that your God exists?
Yeah.
Before we begin, are you treating that as consent to step over the line of your beliefs?
I don't know what that means, but yeah, go ahead.
In normal debate forum, there has to be consent from both parties, and just joining, do you treat that as the consent for us to step on each other's toes in terms of beliefs?
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
So one of the first properties of the God I believe in is that structure that exists within those of us that are good to acknowledge each other's consent profiles before any debate or attack or argument begins between two people. Not to say that the rest doesn't exist and wouldn't be a part of the creation, but to say that a lot of the creation is full of what would be those debates personified or made material.
So you're saying that like the existence of conversation and the consent implicit in it is evidence for
The
God?
line. I would say that line existing is evidence for God.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. So, for example, we all have a couple of senses within us of cases of injustice, right? Does
Sure.
that come from common sense, survivability, or is that placed in us by moralities that are taught from us? Because there's some of these moralities that can be.
I generally
Sorry,
take the view that morality is somewhat, there's some degree of it, maybe you call it like proto-ethics or something like this, some degree of it that is kind of inbuilt psychologically, like perhaps even genetically, and the rest of it is constructed socially.
Okay, and have you ever seen anything that you could consider a miracle? Like a decision someone made that wasn't within their portfolio of anything you could believe they would achieve, or even something to a supernatural miracle?
Nothing that I can think of that I would consider a miracle,
then I'm
no.
just going to write that to the side, treat it like it's not a part of the debate. Then what is our frame of reference for what we're debating of God residing over? Are we?
Well, that's what I was trying to ask you, but you didn't want to put a name to it. So like if you could give me some properties of the God that you believe in so that we could at least have some common ground of what we're talking about, that would be helpful.
Okay, so the example I would have used from that space would be like if you say that the thing we live inside of is a matrix, or if you would have answered with Earth or universe, whatever the largest frame of function is for the
I would say we live in the universe. I think that's fair.
Okay. I would say that God is whatever definition, function, or criteria that the servant function of God needs to be the best thing to all things within the universe. But God itself would be the thing outside the universe that put the functions in place so that the universe could either create itself or the Big Bang or whatever form of criteria that the universe ended up existing as. God was the being that permitted that function forward, whether it was through a spoken word spoken from silence, whether it was two quarks slamming into each other in a weird angle in something we've never even tried to study before.
Is your God consistent with naturalism?
Inform me a little bit on what naturalism defines as.
At least one notion of naturalism, the one that I'm referring to here, is the notion that there is a closed causal order, namely that the things that cause the things that are able to cause other things share a similar kind of ontology. So we would say that like physical things can cause other physical things to happen. They are part of the causal order, and so anything that can cause a physical thing to happen must necessarily itself be a physical thing.
I could at times answer yes to that question, because as of right now, if you were to supplement it in that form, the God I speak of would be the entropy or the resistance to your point, right? So to say that your atheism ends at the end of your life, right? And it brings you to a point where there would have been more you would have been satisfied with. Currently, as I speak, I would speak on the entropy of that sequence to bring you better goodness in your life, and that would belong to God.
Look, I'm really confused. It sounds like the God that you're talking about is consistent with naturalism. And if that's the case, then it just seems like we're having a semantic disagreement, not a substantive one. So
that's why I try to argue the frame point first. So like you've already finished all your debate points on like flat Earth, right?
I don't know what you mean by finished. They will never go away, but you know.
Well, like the example would be like everyone eventually gets informed enough or educated enough or experiences enough, travels the world enough to where we live in a world where that debate's gone.
Oh, that's not true.
You don't think that's possible to achieve?
Well, I think that it's possible that there are people who will die flat earthers. In fact, there's a good example of a guy who died a flat earther. It's actually it's tragic, but like no.
But
like
I'm talking about for the forward points for our species. Do you think we'll ever reach a point to where those arguments are things that are childhood laughter rather than anything?
Oh yeah, of course they are.
So with that being true, there's a temporary point in time where the quote unquote fun moments or people getting to debate like you're getting to debate, those moments will be gone from reality. Is that
I have no idea where we're going with this.
So the point being is like in the future, if we were to exist in that time.
Look, so
Those people may wish to have had the chance to debate like this.
okay,
That too
that's
would be
fine.
the entropy to the death of their creativity.
Look,
so I'm
so
not judging God from just where
I
we are
asked you
located.
for a property or like some sort of description of the God that you want to argue in favor of, and you said that it's like whatever causes or whatever allows for the causation of the universe to begin. And so
No. Less of whatever causes, because that would be more.
That's why I said
upon your
whatever
natural
allows for. That's why I said whatever allows for the causation, right?
Okay.
And then I asked if that was consistent with naturalism, and you said yes. So it sounds like that this is not a substantive debate here, because your view
I'm not saying
can be
consistent
subsumed
with naturalism. I'm saying it can be. So you're
okay. So then,
asking
can you
me
give some
to
additional
argue-
qualities of the God that you believe in that are not that cannot be consistent with naturalism?
So, forgive me for not being too informed on how naturalism is. I don't know what many of its believers or anything, but I believe more in the personal side of God. That's what I prefer to participate in with my time on Earth. So, the God that I speak of is not confined by any element of which you point to, right? So, the easiest example I can show someone it would be, what are all the versions of you like who never chose to be a doctor?
What are all of the versions of me like? What does this have to do with the existence of the God that you believe in?
Because if you believe in yourself or anything, you have to acknowledge that there are many more things you could have done. And the summation of all those parts that exist from all of us, that is the non-descriptive element of all of us, because we exist. The non-descriptive element that it can never be described because it's not existing in what we consider real from our liminal viewpoint. That combined is what exists outside the creation that gave the permission for us to be these versions of ourselves.
Mewtwo, I just gotta ask, I just need a clarification. Do you think that Jesus rose from the dead? Keeping in mind that if you do, lying is a sin.
I'd have to be really, really loose with the definition of resurrection to say yes to that and not feel like I'd be a little dishonest to myself.
Okay. So you would say that Christianity is false?
I would say Christianity is a powerful belief and should be further researched.
Okay. Would you call yourself a deist?
I would just say I'm still trying to learn.
Okay. Well, I'm not clear what you believe. It sounds like you're not clear what you believe. So I am going to let you go because it's just, I can't really engage with much of that because it's just, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. I do appreciate you being here though, Mewtwo. All right, let's read some super chats really quick and then we'll move on to, by the way, just as a quick requirement, if I don't think that, I suspect that Lilith is probably not listening. That's fine. We will read some super chats and move on to our next guest. From Binary Ghosts with the $5, I'm surprised nobody goes old school with the conversation. Believe in my God or I will send you to him. It used to be a very effective argument. Yeah, it was when that threat of violence was a real threat. From Fifth Ave Inc. with the $5, bro can't calculate 20% of 10 and thinks he can turn up his nose to the quantum sage. Insane. I know, right? From Just Some Guy with the $5, oh great, we went from trust fund bully who peaked in high school to the word salad final boss. Yeah, that wasn't what I was hoping for. And from Dr. Fudge with the $2, darn, I wanted to know what a liminal viewpoint is. Did you really? All right, let's talk to the missing piece.
Hey, how's it going, man?
It's going all right. The missing piece. Do you believe in a God?
Yeah, so I'm going to start by saying I'm probably not perfectly in line with your prompt here, and so obviously you can kick me if you want to, but my perspective is
Do you believe in a God?
Well, that's what I was going to address. So believe is a word that to me means kind of like a hope or a clinging to, whereas I would say I would say in my experience you can feel like the transcendent in your subjective life.
Okay, so you would say that. So when I say do you believe in a God, I don't mean are you like hoping that there's a God or whatever. What I mean is do you agree with the proposition there is a God, or perhaps there is likely a God?
I would say I can feel at times, and I can feel the transcendent dimension in my personal experience. So I guess it's not. I guess I would say it's not a belief. It's an experience.
I wasn't, so that's why I rephrased the question so that it has nothing to do with belief.
But I don't agree with it either. I'm saying like
So look, as far as attitudes towards propositions go, you either assent to them, you dissent from them, or you are agnostic about them. You're not sure whether or not the proposition is true or false.
Can I give you a counterexample real quick just to show you where I'm coming from?
Sure.
If you told me that you had a dream last night, and then I started asking you the questions that you're asking me, how would you respond? If I said, do you agree that you had a dream? What would
I would
you
say
say?
yes.
You would say yes, you agree you had a dream, even though you had
I would
one?
say
Okay,
that
sure.
I agree. I agree that the proposition I had a dream is true.
Sure. Okay. Then sure. Then from how exactly your level of confidence with you haven't had a dream is where I'm at.
Okay. So is there any line of argumentation or any line of justification or evidence that you could offer me, being someone who's not you, so who hasn't had your personal experiences, that this being actually does exist?
I probably not that could make you because I felt how you felt before, and I think it's, by the way, I think the way that you feel is right. Like, I don't think anybody should believe anything that they haven't experienced themselves. So like your approach to life, I agree with. So I don't think that there's something that I could do that would convince you of that, other than just I guess things that would point to it would be the harmoniousness of everything, how everything works together, and then obviously you have the issue of no starting point. I guess what I would say is I would have an easier time trying to disprove the rational scientific view than convince you of mine, because again, mine is a subjective experience, and I can't give you my subjective experience.
According to your subjective experience, did Jesus rise from the dead?
I have no idea.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, like, look, if you want to talk about like why you think some scientific view is false, we can.
One thing I would push back on in the general view of things when I get into these conversations is, or one issue is the whole going from nothing to something seems to me to be a jump that you can't make, and one that science struggles with.
How is that the scientific view though? What does that have to do with the scientific view?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is there isn't a way to get from nothing to something.
How do you know that there was ever nothing?
I don't, but I think that if there was never nothing and there's always something, and if we're talking about the eternal, then I think that the whole realm, in my opinion, of science is very like cause and effect, which is why they've attempted to do evolution and the Big Bang. Everything, the whole question is like, how did we get here? If the answer is we were always here,
well,
then
we
that's
weren't. I mean, like, obviously humans weren't always here, but like,
sorry. By we, I mean
plausibly, the universe has always existed.
Yes, by we I mean any energy is so basically the whole tracing back, if that's true, is kind of a pointless endeavor if it's always here and it's just different things.
It's not pointless. Well, if you find out the answer is it's always existed, then there's nothing pointless about that. You found out the answer.
Why would there, if the universe and energy has always existed, or the potential for human beings has always existed, doesn't the existence of something over the existence of nothing indicate some sort of intent?
I don't see how. If there was never nothing, then there's no alternative where it went from being nothing to something. There would have just always been something.
Okay, how about this in terms of intent then? The intent and the universe seems to prefer consciousness, in the sense that we believe that we are more conscious than the previous, like everything, like as if we're at the front lines right now of the
Does it? Because like I could list out nines for a very long time and it wouldn't approach the amount of nines in the 99.9s percentage of the universe that has no consciousness whatsoever.
But do you believe in evolution?
Sure.
Right. So if it's evolving and right.
Let me
like,
rephrase.
then-
I don't believe in evolution. I transcendently experienced evolution. Sorry, that was just a joke. Yes.
Yeah. You're good. So if evolution is real, then that means things are evolving, and then presumably that means we're at the front lines of that. Unless you think that
Evolution
we're
isn't directed, really. Evolution doesn't have an end goal.
But it is preferring complexity and higher levels of consciousness.
No, it's not. I mean, that's just not like that. That's a very like human-centric view.
So going from just a rock out in space, basically, to where we are now is not a preference for a complexity or consciousness.
Well, that's not evolution. That would be talking about abiogenesis. But more to the point, onions are more complicated than humans are. They have a longer genetic code than humans do. With more genes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's lots of ways to
and
measure
like they're like so arguably in any quantitative manner they're more complex than we are.
Is that how you feel subjectively?
How I feel subjectively isn't really relevant when we're trying to like make a scientific or empirical point.
That's true, but your entire experience is subjectively. Like
yeah,
everything.
That's true. Yeah, our experiences are subjective. That's true. But it's kind of irrelevant to the point. The point that you were trying to make is that like evolution tends towards complexity and intelligence, but like onions evolved and they're not complex or they are complex, but they're not intelligent.
Right, exactly. Which is what I'm calling consciousness. Wait. I have a question. Are you being like, I understand that we're kind of going back and forth here, but I think that you understand what I'm saying in regards to evolution and things progressing towards human beings existing where we have philosophy and art and presumably higher levels of
right, and what I'm trying to tell you is that evolution
else.
is not a directed process. This is like a very human-centric view.
Fine. That's fine, because here's the thing. I'm not trying to play like I'm not trying to play like a semantics kind of thing with you. So whether you call it evolution or something else, whatever you call the process where things continue to grow in consciousness and human beings seem to be the most intelligent and at the forefront of that, whatever you would call that process seems to me to have some sort of intent, or at the very least it seems to prefer complexity and increased intelligence.
So I think that unless you can show that there is intent, then you can't say anything about preference. But I don't see how you go from there exists intelligent beings in the universe to therefore there is intent for there to exist intelligent beings in the universe. I don't see how that follows at all.
Well, because I think it seems obvious that without that things naturally fall apart. Like things
not really.
Like the preference for order, the preference for an absurd amount of order and harmony and ecological harmony seems to me to be very, very indicative of a preference.
I mean, things don't naturally fall apart though, right? I mean, like look at galaxies. Spiral galaxies are like, can be very, very highly ordered. You just go look up something called a grand spiral galaxy and they're like beautifully structured. And that's like just gravity doing gravity things. There's no tendency to fall apart there. That's just gravity making things be the way that they tend to be. It's not clear to me why I would expect that wouldn't happen on other scales as well.
But let's take something more tangential to your life, like your life, for example. If you just like let everything in your life go, it will all fall apart. Like your house, your car, like the tendency towards entropy, I feel like is a known thing, which without care and intelligence.
Life is not an anti-entropic force. Life is a pro-entropic force. Not a force technically, but like it's a force in the colloquial sense of the word.
Right.
Life tends to increase the rate of entropy production rather than decrease it.
And I would say it does that towards what I was saying before. It does that in the direction of a preference for higher levels of complexity and higher levels of intelligence. Like, so yes, it's entropying all
look,
around.
so complexity, would you say that like fractals are complex?
I mean, things are complex in different ways. I don't know how to answer that, because you were saying before that an onion's more complex than a human, and then
Yeah, so in the sense that you're saying with regards to like complexity of humans, would you say that fractals are complex? Oh, I can't hear you when, okay, good. I can't hear you when you're off the app, by the way.
I would say humans, not compared to humans.
I'm not saying comparatively, I just mean like in the same way.
No.
Okay, so then what do you mean by complex?
Again, kind of what I was saying before. Here, I guess my overall view on this stuff is that I feel like people often disempower their subjective experience, which is the only thing that they ever truly have, in exchange for third-party opinions and realities and things that can only be verified externally, which again, I mean, anything that you don't directly experience should be treated with skepticism, because you don't really know anything that you haven't confirmed for yourself.
But you don't believe that.
Well, I do.
Okay, have you been to Australia?
No.
Do you believe Australia exists?
Yeah, I think that it does.
Yeah, but you haven't
but
directly experienced it, so like you should be skeptical.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's enough. I mean, I've watched lots of things, and
but you haven't experienced it yourself.
That's true, but I've experienced the videos of people who have recorded there during.
Yeah, and similarly, that's how science is done. You don't have to do the experiments yourself in order to experience, the records of those experiments.
That's true. Yeah, I'm not suggesting you not. I guess I'm pressing for people not putting their worldview primarily on third parties and things that like, I'm trying to push people towards like more of a feeling experience of their subjective worlds, because if there is any, let's say there is any transcendent anything or any ability to experience it, in my opinion, it would be experienced more subjectively through feeling, through the inner world, than it would be some grand thing that happens outside in the sky.
I'm so just like it seems like we kind of just pivoted a lot there, but I'm just really confused as to like, it seems like that there's something about complexity that you think is making human consciousness special, which I will grant. Human consciousness, human intelligence, like that is like, if not unique, it is at least very rare in the universe. But it's just not clear to me that this like implies some sort of intent. Like, we know thermodynamic processes can lead to very complex behavior. In fact, complexity is the most efficient way to go from low entropy to high entropy. So it's just not surprising under like standard natural laws that we would get this kind of complexity arising naturally.
I just don't see why the universe would have, and in my opinion, prefer intelligence, harmonious design if it's from a meaningless and random and somewhat stupid basis. It just doesn't make any logical sense to me that you would have intelligence and love and harmony and philosophy from stupid accidental randomness that happened to land in such a way where it continues to head in that direction. It just doesn't seem realistic.
And if I wanted to make a loaded statement, I would say it seems amazing to me that we can get such vile hatred and such bigoted stupidity from such a universe, if the universe was genuinely designed by an intelligent and wise creator. Like, if we're going to make loaded statements with loaded language, it goes both ways.
No, I mean, I like your point there. I think that, but even those vile, stupid, hateful creatures are still, again, incredibly complex and examples of what I
okay, but then harmonious is not the argument that you want to use here. And now you're just saying complexity, but complexity can arise naturally via thermodynamic processes.
Well, you can have very chaotic harmoniousness. That's like what that's what all of ecology is chaotic harmonious. Like, that's what everything is. That's the whole food chain, is just absolute chaos in ultimate harmony, I think. And yes, by the way, I did make a big, I will agree with you. I did make a big pivot just because I guess I was trying to, I didn't want to get too caught on that because it wasn't my whole.
But look, so this is, I think that we might just be going in a loop. It's not clear to me why I should think that we can't have these processes arising naturally, especially when like they're fairly common in the natural world. We can see them happening. Like we can see, you know, complex structures and, you know, a beautiful organization just happening on its own randomly in the natural world without requiring a creator. Like it just happens because of laws of physics. It's just not clear at all why us existing is particularly special as opposed to those things.
Yeah, I think I was more just saying, like, if you believe that you have intellect and love and philosophy, then that would inherently mean you can't be the product of a stupid and meaningless universe. Like, to me, those two things you'll never. I almost think that to make that argument would have to require some level of being disingenuous because you would know better internally.
Sorry, your claim is that in order to make the claim that I am intelligent
and loving, yes, that you can't be the
but I arise from a stupid and uncaring universe.
Yes,
that would be disingenuous.
I would think.
Okay,
so.
well, I would think that if you think that people can be hateful bigots that want nothing but destruction and selfish desires fulfilled, but you think that they arise from a loving and harmonious creator, that would be disingenuous.
Yeah, but I think that the love, I think that the totality of all of the people, I think that the love is ahead of the hate. And
I think that the totality of all of the people are stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't agree.
Think of so the missing piece. Think of the and I'm going to steal from George Carlin here. Think of like your average. I don't know. You sound American. Are you American?
I love George Carlin. That's one of my favorite people ever. Go ahead.
Are you American?
Yes, I'm American.
Okay,
yeah.
So think of your average voter, right? Not like the brightest bulb in the sky or in the ceiling, whatever the phrase is.
What did you say?
The average voter, not the brightest bulb in the ceiling, right?
Voter. I thought you said motor. I was listening.
Yeah, voter.
Okay,
yeah. Well, the average voter is smarter than half of the voters.
Yeah. Yeah, Bex. No. Carlin and I would be great. Carlin's the man. Yeah. I mean, again, I think
most people are dumb.
Yeah, I mean, I still think most people are smarter than all the other creatures that have led up to this point. People can be like jaded and malicious, and I think ultimately hurt and living from a fear-based worldview, which is, in my opinion, the types of people you're talking about. Who are
I'm just talking about look. I'm not even talking about like hateful, malicious people. I'm just talking about like your average Joe. Your average Joe just isn't that smart.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, I don't know what to make of that. I find a lot of what we consider to be smart just kind of like an ego that's very proud of having collected a lot of information, which is sometimes tiring.
Anyway, my point is that it sounds like your position is merely that if I don't agree with you, that I'm being disingenuous. I think that's a little weird.
No. That's not my point. One, I think you are being genuine.
And why did you say that if you think that you are loving and intelligent, but you think that you arise from a dumb and meaningless process, that you're being disingenuous?
Because the only thing that you ultimately have is your subjective experience. And within your subjective experience, you know that you are intelligent and loving. You know those things to be true for sure, more than you know most of the other things that you're told by third parties.
Right, but so just because I'm intelligent or have love or whatever, that doesn't therefore follow that that was my origin. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that if the main things that you feel and experience and you know to be true, which in my opinion should be primary to your worldview, if those like fundamental factors in your existence, which are your intellect, your love, the things that come directly tangential to you and your world. If you know those things to be true, those are the most primary things to you. And then you go over here on this other area and you go, but you know what? Even though this contradicts like my entire totality of experience as a human being on this earth, even because of that, I'm still going to say that this all basically comes from something that is unintelligent and created me and uncaring, and I have love. Like again, seems to me so unrealistic. I guess that's what I'm saying, that to make that explicit argument, which isn't what you walk around saying. I'm just pointing it out.
I mean, but I think that's true. I think that's absolutely true, though.
Then I would say to, you know, then I would say to trust your feelings more. And
no, it's not. It doesn't contradict my feelings, so that's the point, right? The point is that I can recognize that, like, I have all of these traits, and then also recognize that those traits can arise naturally from an uncaring and unloving environment.
But doesn't that seem less likely?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't seem less likely that the universe is the opposite of your entire subjective experience. And
lots of things. Look. Most of the universe is very, very different from me.
Yeah, you probably could not have said respectfully. You couldn't have said a sentence that I disagree with more. But yeah.
No, I mean, like, look. Most of the universe is made of gas. I'm not made of gas. Like that's like I'm made of solid and liquid mostly. And most of the universe is not that way. Most of the universe is either extremely hot or extremely cold. But I'm lukewarm. Right? Like, yeah. Most of the universe is wildly different. Most of the universe is pure hydrogen. I'm less than half hydrogen by mass anyway.
So our disconnect on this point would be that I think that the universe has put a great deal of care and energy into generating you, and a great deal more care and energy into generating you than all of these other cold and hot places that you're talking about.
It's just not clear at all to me that, like, we need to be the same thing as the universe in order for our experiences to make sense.
I guess I don't have anything else to be the same thing as.
Other people? Yourself?
Well, you know, yeah, we're on my subjectivity thing again. But either way, I guess, you know, my overall view is just, you know, your subjective experience is more important than third-party views and opinions and world viewpoints, and to, I don't know, and I just try to encourage people to address the feeling element and the inner world in their lives as much as humanly possible, because in my opinion, if there is any way to experience the transcendent, it will be through the inner world as opposed to the external world. So also, I like I said, I have no beef with your viewpoint or anything, and I also think anybody who comes up here and tells you what you should believe in, I think already doesn't have their own, they're already not on firm ground themselves.
Well, okay. Look, I think that this is probably a good place to stop.
Yeah.
But thanks for being here, The Missing Piece. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for the good faith conversation.
Yeah.
Take care, man.
Take care. Sorry, guys. I just got to sort out one thing with mods. I don't know why. I'm trying to add a mod, and it's not letting me. One sec. One mo. God, I hate this. I hate this app. Not TikTok in general, but just like the well, I mean, maybe, but the desktop app is really annoying. I'm trying to add a mod to the TikTok, but it's being really, really annoying. Work. And click on moderators, and then it just gives me the, oh, I'm thinking. Gives me this. I'm thinking. Okay, there we go. Hold on. Maybe we'll get there. Math Josh. Maybe I'll just give it a sec. Okay. All right, Math Josh, you're good. Sweet. Moderator added. Okay, let's read some super chats while we're waiting, and then we will move on to our next guest. From Curtis Martin with the $10. Thank you so much, Curtis. Good to see you. I listen to your debates at work and I always learn something new. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. You look beautiful today. That's sweet. From Just Some Guy with the $5. It feels like some of these people never intended on debating. They just want to hear themselves say something smart on stream. Look, you don't got to call me out like that, okay? No, I kid. And from Binary Ghost with the $5. I am made of gas. I should have not eaten what I had for lunch. I apologize, Binary Ghosts. That seems like a rough day that you're about to have. All right, let's bring up our next guest. This one will be from the Discord server. Sasmo, how's it going?
Oh, wait, is this me?
It is you, Sasmo.
Oh, fantastic.
Sasmo, do you believe in a god?
I'm agnostic.
Okay, but the prompt is, can you convince me to believe in your god?
Well, I want to convince you that there's space for God. Is that okay?
I guess.
I mean, I'm of the thought that perhaps the universe, in its four-dimensional block state, might be a god of some description, and the chaotic nature of things we can't quite understand or put more than a statistical model to, like our brains in many ways.
Well, but wait a minute.
Like,
just to be clear, when I'm referring to God, I'm referring to some kind of entity that is separate from the universe that's responsible for either creating, maintaining, or grounding the universe.
Oh, I can't argue against that. There's not a bearded guy, for sure.
Well, I'm not.
Right.
I didn't say a bearded guy either. But if you're just saying, look, if we just define God to be the universe, then the universe exists. Then like that's okay. Like that's just not. That's compatible with atheism.
Yeah, so I guess it's fruitless, I suppose. But
well, then I
don't
gotta
know,
let you
I
go.
find it-
Sorry about that, but thanks for being here, Sasmo. All right, let's bring up Ninja Spartan. Ninja Spartan, you're on the live. Ninja Spartan,
Oh.
Do you believe in a god?
Oh, wow. Hold on. I'm sorry. Yes, I do.
Okay. And which god would that be? Just so I don't make any bad assumptions about you.
I believe in the Trinity. I believe in Jesus. I believe in Supreme Father, and I believe in the Holy Spirit.
Okay. Yeah, that's seems fine. So look, I don't believe in those things. Why should I?
So I'm sure you've had conversations with people that were like this, but it may have not occurred to them at the moment because maybe what they experienced wasn't strong enough for them to bring it back into conversation. But I am someone that has experienced very strange phenomena, and so but the point of me mentioning this is that I'm not here to like really change your mind or I don't believe you can change my mind because ultimately because of those experiences it's gonna be pretty much impossible to change my mind. But
That's
in
okay,
spite of
but
that,
the prompt says, can you convince me to believe in your God? If you don't think that you can, then why are you here?
well, I'm wrong. I'm wrong for saying that. It's not that I don't believe that I can't. I can't change your mind. It's just that I believe that um if we both approach it with a more open mind, then maybe
What do you think I'm
you
doing
can capture.
if not open-minded, if I'm here asking people to try to convince me? It sounds open-minded to me.
Well, no, I mean, I want you to go even further because I know you come from a very scientific mindset, and so it's more of an experiment on your part.
Okay, so why not make the case? Quit with the meta. Let's make the case.
Okay, so would you like to hear about my experience or
Not really.
Or-
I find other people's experiences as compelling as other people's dreams, insofar as they may be very compelling and meaningful to you, but they mean nothing to me.
okay, good. So in the on this planet, we right now it's funny. I used to think we were like at like 7 billion. Now we're like at around 8 billion people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So every day there's some kind of lore cropping up somewhere. Throughout human history, there's a lot of mythology, right?
Yep,
A
lots
lot
of
of
mythology.
make-believe.
Tons of it.
A lot of,
Yeah,
and even in modern times, we
you know,
have,
like there was, you know, it's been going on for thousands of years. There was this one time when this one Greek guy, you know, he died and then he came back from the dead and then he ascended to heaven. It was all mythology.
okay, so and even now in
He was born of a
modern times
virgin.
with all this technology. Okay, okay. Even now in modern times with all this technology, we even assume based off of what we see through videos, through YouTube, through social media, that we're seeing some of this mythology actually come to life, actually become fact, like let's say UFOs or Loch Ness Monster or ghosts and spirits. So
I don't think that any of those are becoming facts, to be clear.
well, no. In some senses, like maybe not what I iterated directly, but there are cases where things had a mythological,
Look,
you know, aura around it, but it actually became fact. It became real. I just
can you
head,
make the case for the God
I
that
know
you
were
believe
gonna
in?
ask. I'm sorry?
Can you just make the case for the God that you believe in rather than kind of talking around it?
Ah, straight to the point, huh?
I'd prefer it that way, yeah.
I bet you do, man. I bet you do.
Is that a
So-
no? Okay, he's gone. Suffer not the fool, they say. All right, let's bring up a guest from TikTok. Talk to Cal.
Hello.
Cal, how's it going?
Hello, I'm nice. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Cal, do you believe in a God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. Cal, what God is it that you believe in?
I am a Christian.
Okay,
A Christian Catholic.
that is so satisfying to hear from so many people who are clearly Christians and then just decided to just say, oh, you know, I believe in the Trinity, or oh, I believe in the... Glad that you admit it. Great. So why should I be a Christian Catholic?
First of all, I wanted to ask you, why are you an atheist? Like, what led you to be not believe in a God?
I haven't believed in a God as far back as I can remember. So...
Okay, but I can see that even with your background, you know about sciences. You know about the universe.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to... Sorry?
Yeah, I do. To some extent, anyway.
I'm sorry, I'm a bit nervous. It's the first time I've
You're
ever
fine.
live.
You're fine.
Have you ever done any research about how the universe started, about all the different processes that there are?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, sure. So, what can you tell me?
That you should read this book.
The Big Bang. Okay, yeah, of course. What do you know about the Big Bang?
No, I'm saying that you should read this book. This book tells you a lot of different ideas about how the universe may have come to be,
Wait, sorry, can you give me the
what
title?
may have caused the Big Bang. It's called Battle of the Big Bang.
So, sorry, can you... Battles of the Big Bang. Okay, thank you.
Yes, you should read this book. It's a good book. I've written by a physicist and a physicist wannabe / science communicator. He's not, Phil Halper's not a physicist wannabe, but it's written by a physicist, namely, or specifically a cosmologist and a science communicator. And they go over basically the last 40, 50 years of the history of the Big Bang and the history of the ideas and theories and hypotheses about where it may have come from or how it got to be the way that it was.
Okay, sure. Can you tell me anything about it so we can have a discussion about it?
Yeah. So
why does the okay?
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, sorry. You go ahead. You go ahead.
You should. I actually don't know what your question would be, so I should definitely let you ask the question.
Okay, because you've read the book, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Why wasn't there any part about it that led you to wonder or even question if there's a God behind it?
Because, so the book is about like the scientific theories about like where the Big Bang came from, what caused the Big Bang, and so a God being behind it isn't a scientific theory. That said, there's a section at the end of the book. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here we go. College does cosmology.
The creator.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
And so the very first sentence of that chapter is, if one wants to believe in God, cosmology is not a good reason to do so. But that does not mean it proves God does not exist. So this is to say,
I'm going to tell you that.
This is to say that you absolutely can believe in God, but you shouldn't believe in God because of the Big Bang.
I don't only believe in God because of the Big Bang. There are other like phenomena and other like laws of the universe that pushed me really towards believing in a God.
Okay, like what?
For example, the great censorship theory.
Do you mean cosmic censorship? You mean the cosmic censorship hypothesis?
Exactly.
Okay. What about it makes you believe that there's a God?
For me, it's weird that logic itself seems to be a property of the universe.
The cosmic censorship hypothesis doesn't really imply that.
It kind of does, though, no?
Not as far as I know, unless you have some derived implication from it that gets you to logic existing, then it doesn't seem like it's really related at all. The cosmic censorship hypothesis just says that there are no naked singularities. And
exactly, but why are there no naked singularities?
You don't know. It might not even be true. In fact, there might not be any singularities at all, in which case it's trivially the case that there are no naked singularities.
By singularity, you mean a point with infinite density and mass?
Yeah, I mean, that's like colloquially, that's what it means. But there's like there's a more rigorous definition. But yes, that's fine.
Okay, yeah,
finite mass, infinite density. It's plausible that no such things exist, naked or otherwise. In which case, the naked singularity hypothesis is just trivially true.
Okay, but still, we haven't found. Okay, yeah, you're also right that if there were one, we wouldn't be able to see it. But still. But isn't it weird that predictability and causality is a law of the universe?
It's not clear that it is. For example, we can't predict the outcomes of a given we can't predict the exact outcomes of a given quantum experiment, right? We can only predict probabilities.
Yeah, but causality is a thing. Otherwise, like the speed of light wouldn't exist.
So causality and causal relations are perhaps different, even though they use similar language. The way that philosophers think about causality is very different from the way that physicists think about causality. So causality is not like cause and effect, at least not in the physicist sense. Causality is merely that there are things that are in causal contact, meaning that, light beams could connect the two space-time events. But it's not clear that, like, I mean, you could take like a Humean approach to causality. I think it's, well, no, I guess it's Russellian. A Russellian approach to causality, and just say that there is none, and that it's just like kind of like ordered regularity. And you could still do physics just fine.
That's the thing. If there were naked singularities, you couldn't do physics just fine.
Sure, you can.
You can't. That's why the censorship theory exists, to prevent the absurd of a.
Well, no, I mean, you could still do physics. It's just physics would, at least in certain regimes, physics would stop being predictive, and like that's fine. We would we would no longer be able to make predictions about certain regions of space, and that would just be the reality of the universe.
If you don't make a prediction about a certain region of space, then you cannot make a prediction about everything.
That's
do you know
not
why,
true,
for example, like electrons are quantized?
Well,
Like,
no,
what's the
no,
theory
we
behind
actually
electromagnetic
don't
bubbles?
know why. We have a best
Yeah, but
guess.
there is an
and
explanation if there's a single magnetic
that's
monopole.
true, but we haven't found any magnetic monopoles.
Yeah, you're right. We absolutely haven't found them. But still, if there's one in the universe, that would be probably enough for electronic
Yeah,
charge to be
that's
compact.
true. We just don't know if there's any.
Yeah, you're right. We absolutely don't know if that's any. That's a possibility. That's an explanation if there is. But still,
That's true, yeah.
If there's a naked singularity, that means the logic isn't guardrail. It means that
Well,
the
it doesn't mean
universe
anything
itself
about
doesn't follow its
logic.
rules.
It doesn't mean anything about logic. It just means that like the universe fails to be globally hyperbolic, right?
Globally hyperbolic, please explain.
It essentially means that given some initial set of data, you can predict the outcomes in the future.
If it isn't, if there's a naked singularity, it means
I
that
shouldn't
it
say
isn't.
maybe. Well, globally hyperbolic would be, yeah, it would fail to be globally hyperbolic if there were naked singularities. That's true. But like, you know, it's
but if there were none, there would be a place where things happen for no reason. And okay, you might say, okay, of course, but
right.
how
But
does that
there's
prove that
no
there's a God?
logic. Yeah, there's no logical violation there.
There's no logical violation, but okay, there's still like some rules that are like written in it. Like for example, the fine-tuning theory. Sorry, okay, that's another thing. But it's for me, okay, this is one of the things. It's weird that the universe itself censors the places where like things would be absurd, so we cannot see them. If it's real, if there's a singularity, if there's no naked singularities.
Well, look, so there's a whole bunch of ifs there. I don't even think that there are singularities at all.
What do you believe in?
I just don't think that singularities exist. I think that anytime that you would find a singularity, I think that that's a failure of your physical theory, and I think that you need to get a better physical theory. And this is like historic. This is historically the case. If that's what you believe, then there's no then the cosmic censorship hypothesis is just trivially true, and there's nothing weird about it.
Okay, what about the fine tuning?
What about it?
Isn't it also weird that do you believe in multiple universes?
I'm on the fence about it.
You're on the fence about it.
Yeah.
If there are no multiple universes, isn't it almost mathematically impossible that the universe in which we exist, and not only that, so the universe that exists, and not only the universe that exists, the universe that we also exists in, is fine-tuned, so all the constants are precisely matched to allow for one, the universe to exist, and two, even more precisely for life to exist in it?
No, I don't think that we can come to any true conclusions about the probability of, or how unlikely our universe is with a single sample size.
That technically is wrong. There was a number. I forgot. Wait, can I just look it up real quick?
Sure. You're probably looking for 10 to the 120th power?
Something like that.
Yeah.
But that was calculated mathematically.
Yeah, and it's not a probability of how unlikely our universe is. It has nothing to do with that.
Explain how?
Yeah, so that number is a mismatch between the Planck scale regularized vacuum energy of the quantum fields that exist in the universe compared to the observed vacuum energy in our universe. And that ratio is about 10 to the 120.
Okay.
But that has nothing to do with fine tuning. It just means that there's this one calculation that we can do that gives us an answer that's really, really big. And then when we go out and observe something else in the universe, the observation gives us a number that's really, really small. And that doesn't imply fine tuning. It just implies that the calculation we did had nothing to do with the thing that we were observing.
Okay, but then how do you explain that a beginning?
What does that have to do with the beginning? Is this a pivot?
The Big Bang.
That's what the book was for. I showed you the book.
Yeah, sorry.
The book has 25 different explanations.
I just looked it up on Amazon. I added it to my cart, but
okay, it's genuinely a good book, and like I'm not sponsored by them. I briefly met one of the authors. It's just a genuinely good book, and so I'm just trying to get more people to buy it.
No, I added it on Amazon. It's €22.50. Can you just please explain to me, because I'm also curious. how that how the book explains the beginning.
Well, look,
Without
so
worrying about-
what the book does is it basically offers, and in fact, I can even show you. It
That's
offers,
true.
it goes through the history, so it's not that long. It goes through the history of the last 50-ish years, maybe 70 years if you're being precise. It goes through the history of like all of the different ideas as to what caused the Big Bang. Or all of the major ideas anyway, in the scientific community amongst cosmologists as to what caused the Big Bang. And at the end of the book, it actually gives a nice cheat sheet. And it lists 25 different major ideas. So here's a chunk of the cheat sheet. And it gives a brief description and what part of the what chapter it's in and all of this stuff. And so it'll say like, okay, have you heard of conformal cyclic cosmology by Roger Penrose?
I haven't heard of it. I've heard of Penrose.
Okay, so Roger Penrose has an idea for like where the Big Bang came from. It's called conformal cyclic cosmology, and that's talked about in chapter 6. And it tells us in this table, it says that it doesn't include inflation. The model is cyclic. It does not have an hourglass structure. The source of the variations in the CMB temperature are unclear, and this universe may or may not be a universe that has a beginning. And then it gives a brief description. But if we go look at another universe or another possible explanation for the Big Bang, so these are just a table of possible explanations for the Big Bang. If we go to say a different entry in this table, let's say the Janus universe. This is described in chapter 6. I don't know if you can read this. That's Janus universe.
Focus. Okay, nice. You can see it.
The Janus universe is a universe that includes inflation. It is not a universe that's cyclic. It is a universe that has an hourglass structure, and it's not a universe with a beginning. So that's a model of the universe that has a Big Bang, but it doesn't have a beginning. It just indicates that the Big Bang is not actually the beginning of the universe. And so most of the ideas in this book are descriptions. Most of the hypotheses in this book are explanations of the Big Bang for that rely on universes that have always existed. And so I think you'll find that only one of the models in the book require a genuine beginning. 8 of them maybe require a beginning, maybe not. It's not clear. And then the rest of the 25 models, so the remaining 16 models, are models of the universe that don't have a legitimate beginning, that don't have a genuine beginning at all. And so we don't know, but there are a lot of different ideas as to how the Big Bang happened. And a lot of them don't have a beginning at all.
So what they consider the Big Bang just the point of where the universe started?
It was the initial hot expansion of the universe, yeah.
And so how was the matter just an energy placed there if we didn't have a beginning?
The different models account for it. Different models will give you different explanations for why that model or why that matter is the way that it is. Why it's there, why it's distributed in a certain way, etc. And like at the end of the day, we don't know what the final answer is, but there's a lot of possible explanations, and you don't need God for any of them.
Okay, look, I'll buy the book because right now I'm not as informed as you as this, and I'll read it, and hopefully if you do another stream, I'll be there again and debate you on it.
Sounds good. Pal, I should let you go, but thank you so much for being here.
Yes, okay. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Take care.
Take care.
That was good, Faith. I hope that he does buy the book, and everyone here should buy the book. I'm not sponsored by them. I get no pay cuts here. They haven't even asked me to do this. I just read the book because I'm a fan of Phil Halper's, and I'm a fan of Nilesh Afshorty's scientific work. And they did a really good summary of the kind of state of affairs in cosmology. The book is called Battle of the Big Bang. It's not an atheist book. This is not a book about atheism. It's a book about cosmology, but it's really informative as to what the modern consensus is on, what the nature and origins of the Big Bang are. So absolutely, you should pick it up. It's a good book. From Tim Davidson with the $5. You merely adopted humanity. I was born in it, molded by it. The bane of humanity. Indeed, that's what the bane of humanity would say. From Coffee Mom with the $5. Thanks so much, Coffee Mom. He knows he'll never change his own mind. Therefore, Dr. Blitz will also never change his mind. Myopia meet projection. Projection, this is myopia. True. From Tim Davidson with the $2. Remember, God can't see it if it happens in the butt. Oh, isn't there a song about that? There is a song about that, in fact. From Luke Lawrence, good to see you. Thanks for the $5, bud. All hail the Quantum Sage. Look, I didn't give myself that name. I prefer the emissary of the lava lamp. But we'll take Quantum Sage. All right, let us bring up our next guest. Let me just double check on something really quick. Let me make sure that I didn't miss any cash apps or anything. Oh, we did get a new Patreon member. Daniel, thank you for becoming a $5 Patreon member. And I should mention, by the way, if you guys become even the lowest tier member on Patreon, it's like $5, you get access to my debate notes, which are, you know, it's just a bunch of sources and stuff that I've collected over the years as I've been doing this. A bunch of sources and arguments and counter arguments and examples and counter examples and papers and studies, etc., for all sorts of debate topics. You can get access to those notes. Now, they're not like curated for like other people to see. They're literally my notes, and I'm just making them publicly available as a way for people to support me, or privately available if people want to support me. You can also get access to those from becoming a YouTube member as well, so consider it. From Alexander Foy with the $5. Hey, Nia, Yesh, and Phil here. Here's your cut. Damn it, you got me. All right, let's bring up our next guest. Let's bring up a guest from the Discord. Max Ranger, can you hear me? I can't hear you. Max Ranger. Oh. All right, let's bring up eMart Money. eMart Money, how's it going?
I'm doing well. So,
Glad to hear it.
so I think we can prove that God is more probable and it's more logical to believe in God than not. But I'm not claiming this is 100% proof. Just strong enough scientific evidence that logical thinkers would naturally believe in God.
Okay, that's fine. So what's the argument? And by the way, just to be clear, how are we defining God here?
So God, I define as an all-powerful, all-knowing creator of the physical universe.
Okay, fine. Just a quick clarification. Would you say that, like, you know how like people talk about like the simulation stuff where there's like a dude in a basement who's like 38 years old and he like created a universe simulation? Would he count as God under this definition?
No, so I believe in this sort of Thomistic version of divine simplicity where
Okay,
God is not
sure.
corporeal.
Yeah, okay, sure. I just wanted to double check. Sure, so what's the argument?
So basically, so I don't know how familiar you are with Big Bang cosmology, but there's a theorem in cosmology known as the Born-Gut-Vilenkin theorem,
Mhm.
which says if the universe is on average inflating in its history, it cannot be past eternal, because if it were past eternal and it were average inflating in Hubble expansion in its history, that would mean that something would have to travel faster than the speed of light to get to the edge of the universe. So this means that unless you have a universe which is not on average expanded, but has either on average contracted or 50-50 contracted expanded, the universe cannot be past eternal.
Yeah, so are you aware that the Born-Gut-Vilenkin theorem is false, as strictly as written?
I was not aware of that. I thought it was an accepted theorem in cosmology.
It's an accepted theorem amongst physicists insofar as it's not really a theorem, but it's more of like a vibes-based conjecture. There are counterexamples. So, like, it's strictly not true.
Okay, what are those kind of examples out of curiosity? Because actually I'm not.
So, as far as I'm aware, they were first presented in a paper from, I guess it was late 2022 by Lefnesky, Eason, and Davies. And they basically, and I can just show it. I can just show it to you.
Okay.
Here we go.
I'm not watching the YouTube. But
oh,
yeah.
You can't see. Okay. Maybe I can screen share.
I can look it up if you give me the names.
Yeah. So you could also just type it into the archive. So if you just type into Google 2207.00955, you'll find it.
2207.
And then period 00955.
09555.
Only 2 5s.
Okay.
And it should be by Lefnesky, Eason, and Davies.
Okay, I see it's from
2020.
Lesniewski, Eason, and Davis.
Yep. And now you want to go to page 8.
Okay. Page 8. Okay. So where do I start from monsters?
So page 8 is page 8 page 8 is where they make the statement that we now present an uncountably infinite class of classical monsters which have an average Hubble expansion greater than or equal to 0 but are geodesically complete. And so like you can read this and you can get into the details. It's a little bit involved, but the point is they offer such, in fact, a large family of such things, which if they exist would be in violation of the BGV theorem. And the fact that they do exist, and they prove it over the course of a few pages, they give these examples, is the case. It just means that the BGV theorem is false, strictly speaking. Now, in fact, if I remember correctly, somewhere in this paper, they actually offer perhaps like a corrected version. I think that's in this paper, or it might be in a later paper. I think it's in a later paper. Yeah, okay, it's in a later paper where they offer a corrected version where they make the statement slightly weaker, and then you can get something similar to it, but it doesn't do what you want it to do. It doesn't get you to an absolute beginning.
Okay. So if this is the case, I'll have to research more on this, but I'll take your word for it that this proves that the BGV theorem is wrong.
I mean, and you don't have to take my word for it. So I personally know Damien Eason, and also Paul Davies is like one of the most well-respected cosmologists alive right now, and he's one of the co-authors on this paper. So I mean, just as like, as far as good epistemology is concerned, we can probably believe that this first sentence on page 8 in section 5, that they're probably not just lying or wrong. And you can go read it for yourself if you want, but like there is a high degree of credibility here that should at least be taken seriously.
Yeah, no, I believe you, and I just said that I'll take your word for it for the moment, and yeah, I agree. It's just I was not familiar with this, so fair enough. So the BGV theorem is wrong. However, or at least as written, there are counterexamples.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the only argument I have against the past eternal universe and why I think there's a first cause. That's one argument. But there are a couple other arguments. So the other argument I would have is Occam's razor. So to me, the idea of a Big Bang, Big Crunch situation where the universe was at a singularity at some point, and then there was a bigger universe before that contracted to create the Big Bang singularity. While that's a possibility, I believe Occam's razor makes it more improbable.
Occam's razor on what grounds here?
We don't have evidence for it.
I mean, look, if you're making an evidential claim and you want to just make the statement that we don't have evidence for X, therefore it's less probable, then sure, that's fine, but then you can only compare it to things that you have evidence for, right? So if you're saying, like, and just to be clear, this isn't even Occam's razor. Occam's razor is, given the same level of evidence for two competing hypotheses, the simplest one is, the more parsimonious one is to be accepted. But
yeah, but
the level of evidence doesn't come into account when you're using Occam's razor. Occam's razor is after you've already accounted for the evidence.
Yeah, but if I may, the argument from Occam's razor is that in this case, both the idea of a past eternal universe with the Big Bang, Big Crunch situation, and a not past eternal universe where the universe began at the Big Bang fit the evidence equally well, in my view.
What evidence do they fit equally well?
How does I mean, if you can't prove that one fits the evidence better, then sort of the default assumption is that they fit the evidence equally well.
Well, I mean, like, just to be clear, like, cosmologists generally don't take the view that the hot Big Bang was the beginning of time. That's just not the view that cosmologists take, and that's like, by Occam's razor, that is by far not preferred. Rather, almost all cosmologists, or at least the majority, perhaps not the vast majority, but the majority of cosmologists take the view that inflation predated the hot Big Bang. And inflation is more parsimonious, so it passes the Occam's razor test much more easily than a hot Big Bang does, given the data that we see. It better explains the data with fewer hypotheses. So we don't want to start at a hot Big Bang. We want to start at an inflation. And then the question is what is the origin of inflation? And so now you have an inflationary universe. is your claim that the inflationary universe, a single inflationary universe, that begins with a singularity is more likely than, say, an inflationary multiverse?
Well, I guess I would say that a past finite universe is more probable than a past eternal universe because a past finite universe fits the data equally well. To my understanding, I could be wrong,
But
to my
how,
understanding, it fits the
right,
data
so it's not clear that it fits the data equally well, but we can grant that. How does fitting the data equally well make it more probable?
because it involves fewer entities. A past finite universe involves fewer entities.
Are you sure? Because a past finite universe has one universe, as does a past eternal universe. They both have one universe.
But more entities would exist throughout a past infinite universe or a past eternal universe.
Right, but we're not talking about the number of entities in the universe. In which, like, if we were, then under Occam's razor, you would be obligated to believe that the stars in the sky are just illusions, if that was your view. No, Occam's razor is counting not like the number of individual instances of a single kind of thing, but it's talking about the different kinds of things that exist. How many different kinds of things? And keep in mind, the past finite universe requires an extra kind of ontological being called a god, whereas a past eternal universe at least may not. And I should be, by the way, just to be clear, being past finite does not imply that a god exists. There are past finite universes that don't have gods at all. Past finite models, I should say.
I would say those past finite models are wrong because, in my view, if the universe began to exist at a certain point in time, and the universe can't come out of nothing, it must have come out of something that's not spatiotemporal. And that non-spatiotemporal.
Well, that seems a little confused. We can talk about that, but I mean, maybe we shouldn't talk about that yet if you're still stuck on the idea that, like, somehow a god plus a past finite universe is more parsimonious than merely a past eternal universe.
The main reason I say that is because a past eternal universe seems like it would naturally have more physical objects that exist. But you seem to be saying, correct me if I'm wrong, that your position is that more physical objects is not what Occam's razor is talking about. It's talking about the types of physical objects there are.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, what's a better explanation for what would be a good example of this? Using Occam's razor, what is a better explanation for me finding different socks when I look in my socks drawer? That either A, I just have a bunch of different socks with different colors, or B, there is a single sock or a single pair of socks, but faster than my eye can see, there is a sock moving and altering fairy that grabs my sock, paints it really quick, and then puts it in another place, and does that so fast that it looks like there's a whole bunch of different socks all over the place. I mean, in the former case, I just have like a dozen pairs of socks. That's more physical objects. But in the second case, I only have one pair of socks and one fairy. They both fit the data equally well, you know, socks and stuff. But clearly the sock painting and moving fairy is far less parsimonious than just having a dozen socks.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I'd honestly, well, I'm not saying what you're saying is false. I'd have to think about it more because Occam's razor is very complicated.
Yeah, I mean, usually you want to not multiply entities beyond necessity. And so if you can have I mean, like, look, like the universe has a lot of entities, right? A lot of physical stuff. You're going to have a lot of physical stuff regardless. Do you also want to add in some metaphysical stuff, some, like, you know, abstract metaphysical thinking beings? That seems like if you can explain the data equally well without it, then it seems like you should avoid it.
Yeah, but I guess the point is the argument would be God is a necessary being.
Well, that wasn't the argument you were making before. You were making a probabilistic argument before.
Well, if God exists, he's necessary.
Sure.
So the
At least
probabilistic
according
is
to
we don't know
at
if
least
God
using the
exists for
definition that you have.
certain. I'm sorry, what was that?
I was just saying using the definition that you have, of course.
Um, I'm sorry, one more time.
I was just saying that God is necessary given your definition of God. If God exists, then God is necessary. That's your
God
definition,
is
right?
necessary.
If God exists, then God is necessary under your definition, right? There are versions of God that aren't necessary. That's
Yeah,
just not
mine
yours.
is not like a pagan. Mine is not like a pagan deity, which could have been not born. Like, if my God exists, then God
Right.
definitely.
No, I'm
exists.
just clarifying. We agree on that point. That I understand what you're saying. You understand what you're saying. So,
Okay.
but the point is you were trying to make a probabilistic argument from Occam's razor, I suppose. Although that's not really a probabilistic argument, but sure. You were trying to make a probabilistic argument, but it seems like that doesn't hold up either. And in fact, arguably, Occam's razor seems like it would go the other way. If you have two options, one is a merely physical reality and all of the things that entails. If you can equally well account for the data that way, as opposed to a merely physical reality plus a metaphysical entity, then it seems like that Occam's razor suggests you should rely on just the merely physical reality.
Well, there are. I mean,
Unless there's additional data to consider, of course. That's what Occam's razor only gives you reason to believe something once all of the data has already been accounted for and both hypotheses equally well account for it.
yeah. So I guess the argument would be whether or not a past finite universe is more probable than a past eternal universe.
Well,
that-
and you would have to show that a past finite universe implies that a God exists.
Well, so to me, a past finite universe would imply a God exists because if it's past finite and every effect has a cause, this means it must have a cause which is outside of space and time.
Well, no, it just has to be outside of time. But to be clear, the language of cause and effect that you're using is not really relevant to modern physics. This is kind of like an Aristotelian version of cause and effect, which is like 500 years out of date.
A what type of cause and effect?
Aristotelian from Aristotle.
I mean, you don't even have to go to Aristotle. I mean, even modern philosophers like Leibniz and Reichenbach and others have defended.
Well, Leibniz is not modern, really. I don't know who Reichenbach is, but like the is it Russell? Is the Russellian view on cause and effect? Let me make sure that I'm getting the right philosopher. Yeah, so the Russellian view is actually fairly common among scientists. You don't need you don't actually need like a metaphysical notion of cause and effect in order to account for physics as we do it today.
Yeah, but I would just say that to me, it's sort of cause and effect are an a priori knowledge because I believe you can say that anything that happens must have been preceded by something, and if it's preceded by something that logically led it to it happening, then it must have been caused by that thing.
Okay, so question. We'll test the internal consistency here. Under your view, under your view, the universe's creation happened, right? What preceded that?
The universe, what preceded that was God.
Well, that's not an action. That's not a thing that happened, right? That's just an entity. So you have to tell me about an event that happened. What preceded that?
Well, God's creation of the universe happened.
Okay. Now that is an event. What preceded that?
Well, to me, before all events started, there was just an entity.
Okay, but what preceded God's creation of the universe?
God preceded God's
that's not
creation.
an event, though. That's like me.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying
like
is,
if you asked me what preceded the Big Bang, and I just said, a singularity, or if I just said, the laws of physics, that's not like a thing that causes things, right? It's not an event. It's not an event that has a causal effect that it produces.
Yeah, but
so you have to give me an event.
But I don't agree. I think agents can be causes, not just events. For example,
right. Agents can cause things, but the agent existing doesn't cause something. It's the agent doing something that causes something.
Yes, God.
So what is the cause of God's creation?
God, agents can cause events to happen.
I don't know what that means. Like, would you say that causes and effects are both events?
What?
Would you say that causes and effects share the same temporal category or spatiotemporal category?
Causes precede effects.
Okay, what does precede mean here?
So precede, there's two types of preceding. There's temporal precession and there's logical precession.
Okay,
so logical.
So in what sense does it mean to have that what does it mean for a cause to logically precede an effect?
So for example, my desk is logically holding up my glass of water here.
No, it's physically holding up your glass of water.
Yes, but it's not temporally holding.
Yeah, of course it is. It exists in time. This is a thing that is happening.
But I'm saying the cause of being held up by the thing is happening at the same time as the effect of being held up.
Okay, so causes can be simultaneous, can occur in the Aristotelian view anyway. Causes can be before or simultaneous to their effects.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that they're not temporal.
Well, I thought when you meant temporal, you meant like temporally succeeding events.
No, just that they exist within time.
Okay, well,
if you're going to take the Aristotelian view, then it seems like the only way that you can make sense of cause and effect is that both causes and effects always occupy time. They always take place in time.
Okay.
And God, under your view, is outside of space and time, which means that God can do nothing, as God cannot cause things, as causes must be within time.
But I don't necessarily accept the Aristotelian view that all causes must be in time.
Okay, so then I don't know. So then in what sense is a cause if it doesn't, like, you understand that if there's no time, nothing can happen, right?
If there's no time, nothing can happen.
Yeah, everything is static.
Yeah.
So how can there be anything that happens in the absence of time?
Well, I guess it depends what you mean by time, because, like, for example, you could take the Kantian view that time is how humans organize experience, but that's not necessarily a reflection of the world in itself.
Yeah, I'm taking a relativistic view of time.
Okay, but even within the relativistic, there's like neo-Lorentzian interpretations, there's other interpretations, there's like
I don't think any physicists take neo-Lorentzianism seriously. I think this is the thing that like William Lane Craig and like some theistic philosophers use to try to get out of the implications of relativity.
But the neo-Lorentzian interpretation fits the data equally well, or at least
yeah, it's just ad hoc, right?
I suppose I'm saying you don't have to accept the standard interpretation of the theory of relativity.
You don't have to, but like if you're not doing that, then it's pretty ad hoc, right?
Not if there's good philosophical reasons to believe in a neo-Lorentzian interpretation of the theory of relativity.
What are the good reasons to believe in and just so people know, just so I can clarify. So neo-Lorentzianism, it takes the view that despite relativity implying that there is no preferred flow of time, if you will, the neo-Lorentzianist view posits that actually there is such a thing, it's just behind the scenes and is kind of like outside of relativity. So what is the justification for taking that view?
Mainly
over and above the standard relativistic one?
Mainly because it fits the view, the traditional philosophical view that there is a preferred frame of reference.
Okay, that's Just because old philosophers thought it was true, that's not a reason to think it's true. Like, what's the actual justification?
But the argument, I mean, there's entire arguments to be had about time being an a priori intuition and all this.
Okay, do you want to give the arguments?
Okay. So you cannot experience something without the temporal succession of events. And therefore, you can know a priori that all events are preceded in time. Therefore,
Hold on, how does
it's
that
an a
follow?
priori... In my view, it does.
No, I'm asking how. How does that follow? Like, experience
Because-
requires a succession of events, sure. How does it therefore follow that... Actually, it's not even clear what you said. Can you repeat it?
I'm sorry. A priori, you can know that events are preceded by cause, or effects are preceded by causes.
How does that follow? Oh yeah, you're about to say it. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Because events are ordered in time, and if there's in order to have a sensible experience, for an event to succeed, another event in time, you have to have an intuition of succession of events in time.
So yeah, you can have an intuition for successive events, and you could have an intuition, or you can overlay a psychological, like a psychological viewpoint that.
That's not what I mean by intuition.
Okay, so then what do you mean?
I mean, I'm taking the Kantian view of intuition as something which is logically prior to experience that makes the conditions of experience possible.
So it's your view that you must have. So how do you go from experience requires succession of events to therefore cause and effect must exist?
Because cause and effect relationships are the sensible relationship between events within the temporal structure.
No, they're not. You don't need cause and effect relationships. You can just use like quantitative relationships separated, or quantitative relationships between different space-time events. That's what modern physicists do. They don't rely on cause and effect relationships. They just rely on differential equations.
Yeah, and I'm saying that that's very I'm just saying that's not exactly right.
What's wrong with it?
Like I said, because in order to have sensible experience, you must have cause and effect relationship.
You asserted that, but you didn't justify it.
Okay, you can find free copies of books on causality. You can find free books, free writings of the Critique of Pure Reason online. This is an incredibly complicated argument that's dozens of pages, hundreds of pages have been written on.
Okay. But are you telling me that, like, I just have to believe you, and that, oh, if I go read hundreds of pages, then it'll definitely be true?
You don't have to believe me. I'm just saying you should consider the arguments, but I can't provide you every single argument presented.
Well, I'm not asking for every single argument. I'm just asking for, like, look, if I take the view that cause and effect are not, like, metaphysically real, they're merely psychological things that we impose on things because it's convenient, and rather the genuine real thing, perhaps, is quantitative relationships between properties, well, then you don't need some metaphysical cause and effect in order to have the exact same sequence of events that gives you experiences.
Okay, so the reason that causality, in my view, is not causality exists and is not just a quantitative relationship, but actually how our mind logically organizes experience, is because we could not distinguish in a sensible experience like perception we have that we can reverse, like, for example, going and looking at like a rock and genuine motion, like a ship moving downstream in a river, if without applying that rule of causality to the events in temporal succession, because then we would not have a sensible experience.
You could wait, hold on. I agree that there are a sequence of events.
Yes,
what you're
saying that
but
is
just
what
because there's a sequence of
causality
events, you
is.
don't need causality in order to explain the sequence of events.
I'm saying that is what causality is. But
Causality.
if you want,
Look. Okay, can you define what a cause is and what an effect is?
So a cause is something which leads to, in our experience, an effect happening.
Okay, is there any is it sufficient for the effect? Is it necessary for the effect? I guess it must be necessary for the effect, right? But like, does a cause have ontological status over and above the stuff that physically makes up the cause?
What does that? I'm confused. What does that mean?
No, I can clarify. What I mean is do you think that there is a specific or a special metaphysical priority or distinction made when a thing is a cause as opposed to when a thing is not a cause?
You can. So, are you asking how do you determine when something is a cause?
Yeah, we can put it like that. That wasn't exactly what I was asking, but that's a fine question to answer.
So, that is a question I think that I'd have to think more about, but that's something that I think exists in things like causal inference and probability theory. But I'm sorry, I'm not familiar enough with causal inference or probability theory to get to
Can
give
things
you,
that don't exist be a cause?
and things that don't exist be a cause? No.
So then how can we say things like, because the lake dried out, or the lake being dried out is what caused me to be able to find, I don't know, treasure at the bottom of the lake? Because what we're really saying there is we're saying, oh, because the water there doesn't exist, that's what caused me to find XYZ thing at the bottom of the lake. It's not a great example, but what I'm getting at is that the lack of a thing is often, at least linguistically, used in a similar way as the presence of a thing for cause and effect type conversations.
Okay, but now you're playing language games, right?
No, that's not a language game. This is actually one of the major critiques about the use or the existence of cause and effect to begin with, because it seems like the set of all, or it seems like if you wanted to give a sufficient cause or a sufficient set of causes for any given event happening, you would have to account for all of the things that are in the past light cone and all of the things that are not in the past light cone. Because if any one of those things had been different, then the future of that past light cone would have been different. And so the end result means that you can't have a sufficient cause without accounting for all of that stuff.
Well, technically, there's an infinite number of things that don't exist.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems.
I don't think you have to account for everything that doesn't exist. You have to account for everything that's relevant by isolating the relevant causal variables.
But you can't isolate relevant causal. There's no such thing as isolating the relevant causal variables. So, like, we would say that, colloquially, we would say that, I ate some bad tuna salad and that caused me to have the runs, right? But we're not that's clearly not that clearly doesn't account for all of the relevant variables, because it could have been that I ate the bad tuna salad and then subsequently I ate charcoal, and because that didn't happen, I had the runs. So that's an additional feature that you have to add to your causal explanation. I ate the bad tuna salad and didn't eat charcoal. And you have to say that I ate the bad tuna salad and didn't eat charcoal and didn't go to the hospital. And so I had the runs.
Is there that eating charcoal helps?
Charcoal is a common way to prevent food poisoning. It absorbs things that make you sick generally.
Yeah.
Poisons and stuff, toxins.
I'll think about it, but to me, it just sounds like you're making sort of pedantic arguments.
The point that I'm making, and this is not something that I came up with. This is a fairly common criticism of, the metaphysics of cause and effect, namely that you cannot come up with a complete causal set or a complete set that causally explains a given effect. That's not something that can be done. The alternative, so in principle, I suppose you can. You just have to say that the complete causal set is everything that does exist in the past light cone and everything that doesn't exist in your past light cone. That
not
would be the
everything that
complete
does
causal
exist is
set.
causally
But then
relevant.
you're basically just saying all of everything that could have influenced me in the past is part of the causal is part of my cause, or is part of the cause of the effect.
But everything that does exist is not causally relevant.
But they are, right?
No, because for example, why does my glass not fall off my desk? Well, that's relevant for gravity, but the fact that fire makes things hotter has nothing to do with that.
Well, look, so if let's say your desk is made out of wood, the desk would hold the desk being the cause of your glass not falling is only true if it's also true that your desk does not have a hole burnt through it, right?
Okay, but what if
and so that's another piece that you have to add to the causal explanation.
Okay, but what if my desk is made of stone?
Okay, then
It
you have to
actually is made
account
of
for the
wood.
fact that there's not a drill that was drilled through it by some ancient Egyptian. You have to account for every single electron being in the location that it is. Otherwise, there could be a sudden gap that spontaneously emerges from quantum decoherence. Like these are the kinds of issues that you run into if you demand complete causal explanations.
Yeah, okay, I'll think about it. It just sounds kind of pedantic.
You should look up Russell's criticism of cause and effect.
Okay, I've read a
and
little
you don't
bit
have
of
to
Russell.
read you don't have to read Russell. It's just like a fairly common view. It's like 50-50-ish amongst physicists, this view.
What's the name of the essay?
Oh, I can go find the name of the essay. It is called On the Notion of Cause.
Okay. So is your argument okay, I want to get your argument.
By the way, I haven't read the original essay. I've just read discussions of the idea. So I know it's originally attributed to Russell. I've read more modern stuff about it.
Okay, and
like
fair
in
enough,
fact, I think that there's a
I'm-
good Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy article on it.
Okay, and fine. But just to clarify your view, to bring this back to the discussion on God, because we've gotten so kind of
That's true, we
off
have.
the facts there. And it's good because it is good to hash out the metaphysical issues. But like, just to bring this back, I don't. Is your view that it's a past finite universe does not necessarily mean God is more probable, because it could have just that doesn't necessarily, a past finite universe doesn't mean it was caused by something?
No, so I mean, my view is that you can have my view is I take a B theory of time. I take like a holistic 4-dimensional view of space-time. And so under my view, you can absolutely have a first moment of time, and then I'm going to use the word prior, but it's not prior in a temporal sense. It's just following the same geodesic, but the geodesic switches from temporal to spatial. Prior, in that sense, to the first moment of time, you merely have space. And so there is a first moment of time. The past is finite. You can go back a finite amount of time before you get to the first moment of time. But in some like geometrically linked way, you have a spatially static, or a spatial and static universe that is connected to the beginning of the spatio-temporal universe.
Okay, but what evidence do we have that something could exist in space but not time?
The entirety of Euclidean quantum field theory, like an entire field of physics.
Okay, yeah, I know.
Subfield.
Because to me,
and by the way, hold on. Just be very, very careful with what you just said, because you think that God exists outside of both.
Yeah, but my argument is based on the idea that God is outside of both because God is logically prior to the physical universe.
Okay, but that I mean, what evidence do we have that there exists anything that exists outside of time?
Well, so
that's the question you
argument
just
is that
asked me.
The evidence would be we infer its existence indirectly through the
So then I
creation
could
of the
do the
universe.
exact same thing. I could infer the existence of purely spatial stuff, of a purely spatial universe that is non-temporal, from the evidence indirectly.
Okay, I'd have to think about it more. I'll just kind of show one more argument, and then I think we could wrap it up.
Yeah, sure.
So the final argument I would say for why a past finite universe is more probable is Hilbert's hotel. So the paradox of the Grand Hotel is the idea that if you have an infinitely sized hotel and you move one guest to another room, and then you move the guest, on
Yep,
and so on and so on.
I'm familiar with Hilbert's hotel.
And so you have this counterintuitive thing of, well, not just counterintuitive, but arguably even paradoxical effect of an actual infinity, which is that you have to move the guests and guests and guests and guests ad infinitum.
Yeah, what's the paradox?
Well, because you'd never get to a point where you've moved every single guest to accommodate the first guest.
Unless they all move at the same time. Or you just tell, hey, everybody get out of your room at noon and move into the room next to you.
But you'd still never get to a final end.
Wait, so if I send out on the magic announcing speaker, because we're already, if we're having an infinite hotel, we may as well have infinite light speed communication, right? I get onto the magical announcement speaker and I tell everybody in their hotel, okay, everybody, at 12 o'clock p.m., you're going to step out of your hotel room. You're going to walk 5 meters left, and then you're going to go into the next hotel room at 12:05 p.m. Well, then at 12:05 p.m., there will be a new hotel room opened up in the first slot.
Yeah, but my question, but you can't have infinity plus one.
Infinity plus one is just infinity.
What?
Also, infinity plus one is not like a really sensible, I can infer what you mean, but it's not like a sensible mathematical statement.
But I'm saying you can't have, well, it's not sensible because in my view, you can't have, at least for countable infinities. I mean, Cantor showed there's like countable versus uncountable infinities, but for countable infinities, you can't have more than one countable infinity. Or you can't have countable infinity plus one being any different than just countable infinity.
Yeah, you would still have an infinite number of people in Hilbert's hotel when you add the next person. That's true.
Yeah, and I'm saying the idea that you can add one person, but the final result stays the same, to me, is paradoxical.
Where's the paradox?
Because in every other example in math,
by the way, I agree it's counterintuitive, but where's the actual contradiction here?
The contradiction is it's adding one, but adding one has no effect on it.
I mean, it does have an effect on it. The elements in the set are different, but the size of the set hasn't changed. That's true. Where's the contradiction?
You're adding to a set, and yet the set is not being added to in terms of size.
Okay, where's the contradiction?
You're adding and not adding.
Well, no. So the set is changing. The size of the set isn't changing. What's the contradiction?
Yeah,
these are two different things.
To me, that doesn't. Maybe I'd have to look.
I mean, so the only time that Hilbert's hotel seems challenging is when people haven't spent enough time with set theory. This is just how infinite sets behave. There's nothing particularly strange here. And by the way, just as a counterpoint, how many things do you think that God knows?
Well,
many facts?
It's an uncountable infinity. So Hilbert's hotel is about countable infinity.
Right. So you think that there is an actual infinity?
Yes, but it's an uncountable infinity. Are you familiar with the
I'm aware of the distinction. The point is so do you think that only countable infinities can't exist, but uncountable infinities can exist? Real countable infinities can actually exist? Sorry.
Yeah, because
you think that uncountable infinities can actually exist, but countable infinities cannot?
Yeah, because if Hilbert's hotel only applies to countable infinities.
Hilbert's hotel doesn't only apply to countable infinities. For example, take the set of all of the real numbers between 0 and 1, right? Countable or uncountable?
Okay. Uncountable.
Okay, now add to that set the number 2. Countable or uncountable?
Actually, I don't know. I think that would
It's
be,
still
yeah,
uncountable. Still uncountable. Has the cardinality of the set changed?
No.
Okay, but you added something to the set. So you run into the same issue that you were running into earlier with Hilbert's Hotel.
Okay, fair enough. I was told by someone that it only applies to countable infinity, so I could have been wrong.
No. The traditional telling of Hilbert's Hotel is about countable infinities. But like the issue that like you can add something to a set without changing the size of the set, that's true for countable and uncountable infinities.
Okay.
And I should say the cardinality of the set, not the size of the set. But you seem to think that actual uncountable infinities can exist.
Yeah, so if that's the case, if Hilbert's Hotel does apply to uncountable infinities, then I suppose that would make the argument less strong.
Right.
Okay. That's about it. Unless you have any final words.
No, that's fine. Let's call it there.
Okay.
Thanks for being here, Mark.
And,
oh yeah, go ahead.
yeah, you're welcome. I was just gonna ask when your next stream is gonna be.
It might be tomorrow. I haven't decided if I'm gonna do a debate tomorrow.
Okay. See ya.
All right. Take care. What a good faith, Gary. Let's read some super chats and we'll bring up one more guest. Bring up another guest, I should say. From Binary Ghosts with the $5, the simulation that is our universe is not in a basement. It is in a second-story kid's bedroom. We are a birthday gift. Indeed, we are. That's what GTA 6 is, everybody. We are GTA 6. Reminds me of the Charlie Kirk song. From Pat in the chat with the $5, would a dude who created a microverse be used as his car battery be considered a god? No. Just an asshole. From Binary Ghosts with the $5, sock fairy theory is ridiculous. Socks go missing, they don't multiply. Dryer sock teleportation portal theory is far more plausible. True. I agree. And from Pat in the chat with the $2, time, Dr. Freeman? Is it really that time again? Is this a reference to something I haven't seen? It probably is. And from Dwayne Warren with the $5, is the universe not meant to be observed? If it allows a lens of observation to exist within it, would that not point to a purpose of being observed? I would say that the universe is not meant to be observed, insofar as I don't think the universe is meant for anything. Ascribing meaning to the universe seems to be something that happens for subjects, and which is begging the question that there is such a subject that's external to the universe. Oh, it's a Half-Life thing. I never played Half-Life. Sorry, guys. All right, let's bring up another guest. Oh, let me check for cash apps and stuff like that. Okay, looks like we got nothing. Let's talk to Evil Viking. Evil Viking, how's it going?
I am absolutely fine.
Oh, you know, when you're off the app, I can't hear you. When you're off the app, I can't hear you. It sounds like he isn't fine. Maybe he like just fell into a subspace. Welcome back.
My internet is a little bit slow at the moment.
Can you hear me all right?
So I am. Yes, I can. Yes. So I have
Wait,
been
hold on.
listening
I gotta
to a few
check
of the other
because
people.
I gotta check because it seems like there's an enormous. Okay, no, he's. It seems like it's not going to go well. Sorry. Come back when your internet's better. I'm happy to talk to you again. Let's talk to Baldwin. Baldwin, how's it going?
How are you?
Baldwin, do you believe in a god?
Yeah, I'm a Christian.
Okay, great. Baldwin, why should I be a Christian?
Well, I make two arguments. I start with a classical theistic argument, and then, or I guess you could also maybe go into polytheism there, but we'll get there. Either way, I make a classical argument for God, and then I go into the historicity.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Starting off with the classical argument. Premise one, we'll just go premise by premise. Premise
okay,
one
let me get out. Hold on, I'm getting out the notepad. I'm getting out the notepad.
No problem.
Here we go. Notepad displayed. Oh, shoot. Here we go. Okay, premise one is.
All right. Premise one is that the universe is infinite. and has been in a state of change. You should write down these definitions too. So by universe, I just mean everything that exists.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to need God and possibilities. So God is going to be just a being that has complete control over the universe.
I guess that's just a definition. That's not a premise, really. Oops.
Yeah, that's the definition. Yeah, right.
Okay.
All right, and then possibility, what I mean by something to be possible, it means that it doesn't have a logical contradiction, a physical contradiction, meaning it doesn't break any laws of physics, and that it does not have a probability of 0.
Oh, probabilistic.
Probabilistic.
Okay. So you take possible just to mean that it's a thing that can happen in the real world.
Yeah, correct. Exactly.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so what's the argument?
All right, yeah, so P1, we got that. P2 is that if something is possible, given an infinite amount of change, it'll eventually happen. It'll eventually instantiate.
Okay.
P3, God is possible.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did I lose you for a second? Oh,
No,
there we go. Okay.
no,
We're good. Okay. P3, God is possible. P4, if God is possible, then God exists. Conclusion, God exists.
Okay. So, as written, this syllogism is not valid. Because the claim is that
if you want to swap P4 and P3, you can. But
no,
like,
it's not an order issue. It's that from P1 and P2, roughly understood, from P1 and P2, P2, and P3 rather. Oh, I'm sorry. So, yeah, okay. So you don't even need P1 and P2, given that you have P3 and P4.
Hold on. Let me stop you there. I've gotten this critique before, but I don't. When it's not an invalid argument, if you have a modus ponens.
No, you're right. You're right. It's not invalid. I was so. Right. If you got rid of P4, then the conclusion just doesn't follow. You would want to use P1 and P2 in combination with P3 in order to get the conclusion, but you just added in P4, and so like you don't even need P1 and P2 then, right?
Well, I understand, but usually, like when I'm in a debate, if you wanted like a strict.
No, you're fine. So you're right. Technically, like it is valid.
If you just be like P4, P3, then. Right.
Yeah.
I understand that P1 and P2 are not needed. However, it just kind of gets through the weeds. Early on.
Okay. So, question. First, we need to justify P1. P1 is at least perhaps plausible, but the infinite part is plausible. I'm not sure what you mean by has been in a state of change. Presumably, you mean are you saying that it exists infinitely, like forever?
Yeah, I believe that the universe has to exist infinitely because I don't believe that a concept can cause something.
Okay. Okay, so you think that the universe has existed forever, it's past eternal, and you think it's also infinitely large?
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you mean by has been in a state of change?
It means that if you take this moment to be the present and you keep going back in time, you're going to find change.
Okay, why should we believe that?
Well, because if nothing changes, then it would never happen. Nothing. It would just stay constant forever.
Well, I mean, you could in principle just have like a state of static unchangingness, and then suddenly it changes.
What? Well, hold on. Can you justify that?
Yeah, Norton's dome. Let me show you. Let me pull it up. I think that there's a good diagram here. And by the way, I say that this is possible because this is consistent with Newtonian mechanics.
Well, actually, hold on. I just had a thought.
Yep.
I may just grant it to you because it in this state of when the universe could have been in this state of I don't know, you want to just call it constant, like a constant state? Yeah, a state of
static.
unchanging.
Yeah, sure.
Right. At each point, was there any probability that something else would happen?
Is there any probability that well, it was static. So
right, but well, hold on.
It's like how do you measure that? How do you calculate the probability here? It's not super clear.
Well, yeah, I would just say that at any point, if something else could happen, that there's got to be some type of possibility there. And
well, talking about that, possibility and probability are very different things.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Just let me finish. There's going to be a possibility there for that event, and for every possible event, there's a probability to that event.
For every, are you using probability in an epistemic way or in an ontological way?
I mean, I would use it in both, right? Because for me to even for it to even fall into the category of possible, it has to be epistemically possible and ontologically possible.
Well, sure. Well, look. So things can be. Well, how do I want to phrase this? In Newtonian mechanics, there's no probability at all, right? In Newtonian mechanics, if you know what the state is now, with few exceptions, you know what the state will be guaranteed in the future. So it's just not like there's no probabilities involved, right?
Okay, so your answer is no then, that you think that you think that it's possible that you can have a state of something being unchanging with no possibilities and then it just changes.
Well, no, I mean it's possible in the future that it can change, but I don't know how possibility and probability are different things.
Well, I just explained that. Do you think that probability is a subset of possibility?
No, I think that they're kind of different things. I think that they're different categories.
Well, yeah, they would be different. Like, okay, that would just, a subset is different than the set. So I'm not asking.
Yeah, but a subset is in the same category. A subset is in the same category as the thing it's a subset of.
Correct, but you
I
said
think that these are in different. I think that these are in different categories.
Really?
Yeah.
So
like they can be related.
An example of something? Can you give me one example of something that has a probability that's impossible?
No, but I can give you an example of something that has a possibility, but it doesn't have a probability.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, I can give you that. I can give you that. There are things that have a possibility, but there's no way to assign a probability to it.
Well, hold on. But what was my claim? My claim is that if it's probable, then it must be possible. That was my claim. I didn't claim the inverse.
That I'm happy to agree with. But you were asking about what the probability of something happening in this static state of affairs is. But I'm not saying that there's a well-defined probability space there. There's rather. You could say that there's a well-defined possibility space, but I don't think that there's any way to assign a probability in that case.
Okay. Okay. So you were just saying that you wouldn't know how probable it is, but you would agree.
I don't think it's well-defined. I don't even think that it's it's not an epistemic issue.
I can grant it. I'm completely fine with saying that in this unchangeable state, you would still grant that at each event there'd be possibilities. Correct?
Yeah. There's possible ways that the universe could be different in the future, but that doesn't mean that there's a probability that it will be right at any given point in time.
No, hold on.
As long as we agree on that.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
But a possibility.
But then in that view, you can have an infinite past where 100% of it in the measure theory sense is unchanging.
Let me finish there. So we I want to avoid shadow boxing, right?
Yep.
So I just want to be very clear. In the unchanging state, you grant that in each event in that unchanging state, there is a given possibility on each event, correct?
I don't know what you mean by each event. Look, so we can just streamline this. You can have a state of affairs that's unchanging, but at any given moment in time, there's a possibility that it could start changing.
Okay, great. I'm fine with that.
Okay, but that means that you can have an eternal past that is at all moments before, say, t equals 0 is completely unchanging. And so you only have a finite amount of change in an eternally existing universe.
Well, hold on. So So the only way, then you agree with P1.
No, I don't. I'm
Yeah,
giving you
I'm lost.
I'm giving you a
It just seemed
counterexample.
like you disagreed.
No. I'm saying that you can have an eternal past, but all of the past before t equals 0 is unchanging. So like, let's say t equals 0 was like 100 years ago. Well, then it hasn't been in a state of change forever. Or are you just saying it's been in a state of change at some point? It has changed at some point. Okay. I misunderstood this.
Yeah, all I need for the argument to work is for you to grant. The biggest thing that you granted was possibility, right? Because P2 is just going to be straightforward. That's just a theorem.
Well, wait a minute, hold on. So is P1 saying that it has always been changing, or just that change exists and there's an infinite universe?
Yeah, I mean, like, by change, right? I just mean that, like, look, I would even grant, like, when you say unchanging, do you grant that there's multiple events in this unchanging state?
I mean, it depends on how you're using the word events. If you're using it in like the standard relativistic sense, then yeah, sure, but they're indistinguishable.
Yeah, okay, well, then that's fine, right? But hold on.
So like nothing's changing, right?
Wait, no, hold on. No, there would have to be something, no matter how slightly different, if they're two different events.
No. So different events are distinguished by their position and their time. So let's say that, like, you know, everything's at the same place, and then just time marches forward. There's nothing different. The events, the physical characteristics of the events are indistinguishable.
No, I'm not. I don't care about the physical characteristics. I would say I grant you that that's the same.
So then, how do you distinguish them?
Property of let me finish. Right.
How do you tell what time it is if nothing's changing?
I'm about to tell you right now. I was
please.
On the cusp of it. Thank you. Well, the difference is that where do they lie in time, right? Like,
how do you tell what time it is if nothing's changing?
Well, it doesn't matter if like our human
it's just time is just not really well defined, right? Like there's
well, I can use what look. I'm using what you implied, right? That there would be some type of forward motion, but no physical change. You just did that.
Yeah, there is no physical change.
So that forward motion, right, is just going to necessitate, right, that at any given event is not identical, right, to in at least a temporal sense to the event before it. They have different
temporal coordinates, but surely you don't think.
There you go.
But surely you don't think if I had a static universe and there was no change whatsoever in the colloquial sense, like nothing was ever happening in this universe. It was just like, imagine they just have a universe and there's just like a cube floating in space, not moving for all of eternity. Surely you would not say that universe has change in it.
Well, no. I mean, I don't know if you would say that, right? But what I mean,
would you say that it has change in it?
No. Yeah, because at the end of the day, okay, you can laugh at it, but I can explain in
then you're equivocating on the word change.
No, I'm not.
So literally nothing is happening
physically, and that's fine.
Okay, is something happening metaphysically?
Is event A, does event A and event B have different properties in a temporal sense?
What kind of properties? Physical properties, like physical properties, or metaphysical properties?
One is in a different place and time than the other one.
Sure.
Then
that's
changed.
Fine.
I don't know what else to tell you.
But then P2 is just false. If that's included in your definition, because for example,
what's false about it?
What's false about it is that, like, in the example that we're talking about, where you just have a cube alone in space, it's doing nothing, it's just sitting there for all of eternity, then it is. But you know, it's like possible that like a unicorn pops into existence next to it. That doesn't mean that it will happen, right?
Well,
like if there's no law of physics preventing that from happening, that doesn't mean it will happen. It doesn't mean it will happen if literally nothing is happening.
No. My argument is that if something is possible, it will eventually instantiate, given change.
Right, but that the block sitting in an empty universe, alone and unmoving,
I think
is a counterexample, right?
Well, no, it's not, because the only way that it would be possible is if I granted to you that the only possibility in that analogy would be the block. If that's the only possibility. But
Okay,
you've
so-
already granted to me that there are other possibilities and that there's change.
Okay, so so in what sense would it? So suppose that we're using the word possible, right? So this definition. So is there a logical contradiction in? Let's use a simpler example. So we have the block, and then sitting alone in an empty universe. So is there a logical contradiction in a pair of like an electron positron matter antimatter pair spontaneously emerging, one with positive energy, one with negative energy? Is there a logical impossibility of that happening 10 light years away from the block?
Well, no, that's fine.
Okay. Is there a physical impossibility?
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about something just spontaneously exist. I'm just granting it to you. It seems a bit ad hoc, but
It's the kind of thing that physicists will generally talk about. And then there's not a probabilistic, like it's not probability. I mean, well, the question is how
I didn't
actually...
I didn't bring up like other, like I'm not, all I said, I'm granting it to, like, I don't.
Okay, yeah, sure. And the question is the probability 0 or not?
Is the probability, no, I said that no, it's fine.
Well, no, but that's the question. That's the thing that's in question, right? If something is like, what if there is no well-defined probability space? How do you determine if it's possible?
Well, no, hold on. It's either the case that it's going to be a probability of 0 or not.
No, that doesn't follow. Not everything can have a well-defined probability distribution on it.
Well, okay, then are you just saying you just don't know?
No, it's not I don't know, it's that it's impossible. Well, okay, so technically it is true that everything... Sorry, let me rephrase. Technically it is true that either something has a probability of 0 or it doesn't. But it's not either it has a probability of 0 or it has a probability of some number greater than 0 and less than or including 100%. It could be that it doesn't have a probability of 0 and it doesn't have any probability at all, actually.
Yeah. If it doesn't have any probability at all, then it would just be impossible.
That doesn't follow.
Can you give me one example of something?
Yeah, Norton's dome.
Which is what?
I'll show you. Here.
Wait, hold on. Just to be clear, you're saying that there's something that is possible. That doesn't. That
you can't assign a probability
doesn't break any laws of logic.
Yep.
That doesn't break any physical laws.
Yep.
And it does not have a probabilistic nature of 0.
Yep. So yeah. So
wait. Just to be clear, that means that just to be clear, you're saying that there is no third option. It's either there's a probabilistic nature of 0 or above 0.
No, I'm saying that there's a third option where there's no assignable probability.
Wait, I'm sorry, you cut out for me. It's the third option is what?
That there is no assignable probability.
Yeah, so if it doesn't, then that's just a question mark, right?
It's not a question mark. It's not an uncertainty. It's that it's impossible to assign a probability.
Why is it impossible to assign a probability?
You can prove these things. In Norton's dome, it's not proved in this way for Norton's dome, but there are ways that, like, for example, you can prove that there is no, what is it? There's a... There is no uniform. There is no uniform probability. Okay, so what is the probability distribution?
Here, let me put it this way.
Yeah.
We might be able to skip all this. If it doesn't have a definer, if it's impossible to define a probabilistic of 0 onto any given probability. Yeah, on any given event.
No,
right?
it's just for some. It's just for some kinds of things. Not for everything. For some things, you can.
That's fine. That's fine. That's why I said any given. It doesn't, So, that being said, do you mean that it can happen or it can't?
Yeah, it's still possible, but there's no way to assign a probability.
I'm fine with that then. As long as we're granting it can happen, I don't care. That's fine.
Okay, but then there's an issue. Sorry, I shouldn't have turned that off.
You can add on to the definition. That's fine.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of an issue with the definition that you gave then for possible, because the definition that you've given for possibility seems to require a that you can make a probabilistic evaluation. That you can check if it has a probability of 0 or not.
Yeah, you can say it either needs that or
we can say maybe we say or has a probability, has a non-zero probability, or has no well-defined probability. So this is fine for you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Okay. So, and in P1, your claim is merely that there exists any change at all, and by change here, you don't mean physical change, you just mean like... What?
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know what... I assume that you don't think time's physical, since you're saying that, there's no physical change. So,
I think that time is not a physical observable in an unchanging universe, right? Thank you for the star map, by the way.
No, that's
Dunkus.
fine. I mean, it's either just going to be, either just going to be physical or not.
Car on shoulder ahead.
Right, but it's only a physical observable when the universe is changing, right?
Okay,
and so if the
is
universe isn't
is it physical
changing,
or not, man?
it depends. Like you can't really define time in an unchanging universe. By the way,
one or the other, man.
I mean, no, it can be in flux, right? Are you driving?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not on the interstate or anything. I'm just talking to you through my car.
I know, but TikTok has a policy that you can't be on TikTok live streams if you're driving. We'll just speed run this and then I'll let you go.
All right. Okay.
So look, so I'm a little bit skeptical of this has been in a state of change business, but we can move past that. This is true. This is probably fine. P2 is probably fine. Again, there's some issues with like things that have no well-defined probabilities, but we can just grant that. P3, how do you know that God is possible?
Oh, well, because it falls under the definition. There's no contradiction.
Well, you have to demonstrate that, right? Like you could say that there's no logical contradiction because like analytically there's just no logical contradiction. But to say that there's a physical, to check that there's no physical contradiction would mean that it's like some physical entity. And so, for example,
Wait,
if it has...
hold on. You're asking me to prove a negative?
Well, I mean, it's your claim, right? So you have to demonstrate that it's the
prove
case.
Well, hold on. Would you be okay if... Wait. You know, you can't prove a negative, right?
You absolutely
like
can.
To say that
I can prove that there's not a shark in my drying machine right now. I can just go check my drying machine.
I don't think you got... I know it sounds crazy, but could you do it like for 100%? You really
yeah, I would just go check. I would just go check that there's not
so
a shark in there.
100% reliable. That's.
I mean, so whenever we make any arguments or present any claims, we support them with various pieces of evidence. And so I'm just asking you to support this with some piece of evidence.
Right. So if you went and looked for a shark in your dryer, you would say, I don't see any evidence that there is one.
Yeah, and that would be evidence. That would be evidence. So if your contention is the word prove,
that it's not
is your evidence?
I don't
look. This is your positive claim, though. Your positive claim is that God is possible. So you just have to provide some evidence for that.
Yeah. Hold on. Yeah. Just for the record, I'm pulling over. So.
Oh, great. Yeah. Great.
Continue talking.
Cool.
So I'm just doing what you just did, right? Like you go into the dryer, you open it up, you don't see any evidence to see why there would be a shark in there.
Yeah. Okay. So can you? So like.
Wait, hold on. I'm almost done. I'm almost done.
Yeah.
I'm saying, hey, God is possible. Why? Is because I don't see any evidence that there's a contradiction. So.
Okay. Let me present you with a possible contradiction, a physical contradiction, in fact.
Okay.
If such a being exists, then a being must have control over its own past. However, we have good physical reason to think that this leads to contradictions, that control over one's own past is physically impossible. In fact, it probably leads to logical impossibilities too, but I'll leave that on the table. Because, like, for example, imagine that I could now change my past so that I now didn't change my past. Oh, where'd he go?
I'm right here. Say that last part again.
Suppose that I have the power to change my own past, right? Then that would mean I could go back and change my action, or what led up to my action that caused me to change my past. And then you lead not even only into a physical contradiction, you lead to a logical contradiction, namely that I both change my own past and I do not change my own past.
Well, hold on. I don't take the past. I'm not a B theorist.
So does this being not have complete, wait, I'm sorry, does time not exist? Is time not physical in your view?
No, I don't think like the past is a concept.
Okay, so time's not physical in your view.
Wait, no. What are you talking about?
Okay, so what is time?
Yeah, I would just say that time. I mean, I'm completely fine saying that time is physical, right? But the only place where it exists is in the now, right? Like the future, it doesn't exist yet. In the past, it wasn't. I mean, do you think that the past is instantiated? No. So
I mean, I do, but you know,
now, right?
Okay, so question: this being has complete control of the universe. Does that mean that it can affect? Let's say that can it affect things that are spatially separated from it by, you know, large distances?
Sure.
Well, that's a physical impossibility, right? It violates relativity because there's a speed of light limit.
Okay, what's wrong with?
That's a physical impossibility. You can't affect things that are spatially separated from you. I'm using spatially, by the way, and like I should say space like separated. Things that are space like separated are things that are events in space-time that are further away from you. They are further away from you than the amount of time it would take to get there from light.
Oh, I mean, do you even grant the possibility of like something like a wormhole or a different way to travel than linearly?
I don't think that we have any reason to think that those things exist. I think that they may even be physical impossibilities.
Well, hold on. So I'm not. It's okay if you say you don't think that they exist at this moment.
No, I think that they may be physical impossibility. By the way, if wormholes exist, then time travel exists. By the way, if wormholes exist, then time travel exists. By the way.
I know. Isn't that cool? I kind of
right, but you said that you don't think the past exists. But if time travel to the past exists, then the past must exist.
Well, but that would just be plain semantics, right?
It's not plain semantics. It's just catching you in a contradiction.
No, it's not. I can demonstrate how it's plain semantics because by what we mean as past is what we've observed in the now. But at the same time, if the now would just be identical, right, in a different place as what we've already experienced. So
no, so look, now. You could literally affect your own past if wormholes exist.
So wait a minute. No, I think it would be. Have you seen Avengers?
I have. That's fiction.
Yeah, I totally understand. We're just using fiction as an analogy. So yeah, it would be more like that.
No, but that's not how physics works. That's not like real.
You know, the physics
like that.
Well, so you know the physics of wormholes and how they're going to work.
Yeah, I do. Wormholes are well studied, and wormholes are well studied in general relativity.
Wow, you should build a machine then.
I'm not an applied physicist. I'm a theoretical physicist.
I got it. Yeah,
but yeah. So
you're
if wormholes
I've ever met that understands time travel.
Talk to any relativist; they will be able to explain it to you. It's not that complicated. I mean, it's kind of complicated, but like
time travel is not that complicated. I wonder if it's not that complicated.
we can describe non-simple connected spacetimes. You know? Oh, because it's impossible.
Oh, what? All right, man. All right, I think I'll end on that note.
Okay, we'll end on you contradicting yourself, and
you can believe what you want.
We'll see.
Never presented a contradiction.
I did. In fact, you contradicted yourself when you said that you think that wormholes can exist, and then you agreed that wormholes implies the existence of time travel, and then, or rather not, and then earlier you said that time travel is impossible because you don't think the past exists.
What do you? Okay, so
that is a contradiction, by the way.
Man. Well, yeah, that would be a straw man, right? I mean, I feel like at this point, no matter what I tell you, you're just gonna say, no, I'm right, contradiction. And then
is time travel possible or not? Can you affect your own past?
Well, I think that time travel is possible in the sense that you can go to an identical state in which we've already seen. But
can you affect your own past?
Not in the way you mean it.
Okay, so then wormholes can't exist.
I think wormholes would just always be in the now. You would just go to a place that time hasn't reached yet.
The lovely thing about wormholes is that you can and this is like a common thing that you go over in a special relativity class when you're teaching it with your students. You take one end of a wormhole, you put it on a rocket ship, have it go close to the speed of light, and then have it turn around and come back. Now that wormhole, if you go through the wormhole that stayed behind, you will come out in the past of when you went in the wormhole. So if you wait till it comes back, and say it's been 10 years since the wormhole has gone on this trip. Now, and say the trip took 10 years, right? For the end of the wormhole that went on the trip, it only took 10 minutes. So now, after 10 years, you didn't go with the wormhole. You step into the side of the wormhole that didn't go into the path, that didn't go on a trip. You will come out at the same place, but 10 years in the past.
Wait, no, hold on. But as I said, when you exit the wormhole, right? Then now what you're experiencing is that's just going to be an identical state to what already happened. But you're going to have to substantiate.
No, it's actually at an earlier. It actually is an earlier point in the same space time.
You finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
You could do the same for me.
Go ahead.
So when you leave the wormhole, right? I'm taking it to be an identical state to something that has happened, not that state is the same state that already happened.
Oh, then you're misunderstanding what a wormhole does. A wormhole connects different points of space-time. Wormholes connect different points of space-time. And so in particular, you can have one end of the wormhole travel faster through time than the other end of the wormhole. And so it'll connect two distinct points of time, even if they're in the same location.
No, look.
You can say no. That's just not that's just not how physics works.
Right, I'm saying no because well, you can say that, but
yeah, I can say that. That's what my PhD in physics lets me say.
Yeah, sure, I'm sure it does. But are there PhDs that agree with you?
They all agree with me. This is like common stuff. Yeah, this is common stuff.
Wait, so you're making the claim that there's not one physicist with a PhD that disagrees with your position?
Well, some of them might say that wormholes are possible. Some might say that they're impossible, but they all agree that wormholes behave the way that I'm describing them if they're possible.
Yeah. Look, I'm gonna hold you up to that. When I get to my destination, I'll find PhDs that disagree, and then I'll come up. And next time I come up, if I give you the PhDs, will you walk that back?
Sure.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
Right.
Look, thanks for having me up. If we got a little heated, it's just the nature of the debate. Nothing personal.
Thanks for being here, Baldwin. Take care.
Hey, no problem.
At least he doesn't, you know, like I don't hold any ill will towards him. You know, that is the nature of the debate. I hope he also recognizes, though, that the nature of the debate is sometimes you end up on YouTube. So, you know, you're not like a lolcow. Like, I'm gonna put that on YouTube because it's an interesting conversation and probably worth putting on YouTube. And also because I definitely think that you contradicted yourself at the end. So, but you know, I will eat my hat if you come back and prove me wrong. Let's read some super chats. From Dwayne Warren with the $5. Thank you so much, Dwayne. Reflective self-awareness and abstract rationality exceed what seems necessary. Why interpret that greater capacity as accidental rather than directional? They exceed what seems necessary. I don't understand. Necessary for what? I don't take it that there's like some end to this, like some goal for this universe that, you know, only the necessary things will happen. So I'm a little bit confused by that. From Binary Ghost with the $5. No shark in the dryer? How oddly specific. There's 100% a shark in there. Come clean. Why are you drying out the sharks, doctor? Look. How else do you make shark jerky? And from Binary Ghost with the $5. Thank you so much again. Applied physicists, aka engineers, useful producing things. Theoretical physicists, observing things is changing things. Give me another grant. Yeah, that's exactly how it goes. Yep, that's what we do. That's us. Although applied physicists would probably be taken aback by the claim that they are engineers. Applied physicists are different. Yeah, we need jerk shark. It's like jerk chicken, but not. All right, y'all. So we have no more super chats, and we are a bit over. I did run a bit over because I wasn't live for the last few days. Before I go, I just want to remind you, If you're 18 years or older, make sure that you join the Discord server. It's a good place where you can communicate with other like-minded people, and even if you disagree, as long as you're not an asshole, if you disagree, if you think God is real or whatever it might be, feel free to join. There's various places that you can join and debate in the Discord server with other people who are interested in good faith debates. You know, if you're on YouTube, you can talk to the people if you're on YouTube, you can talk to the people on TikTok and vice versa. So that's kind of neat. Second thing is, if you want to get access to my debate notes, which I will briefly spoil, I won't spoil them. I will spoil them. I lied. If you want access to the debate notes, which I will briefly spoil here and here. So we have debate notes. This is just like, it's stuff that I use during debates. Well, it's sort of like stuff that I've accumulated that I've like, you know how when you take notes, you kind of memorize the stuff? So these are the notes that I took that I have now internalized, but they have a whole bunch of sources and references for like a whole bunch of different topics and arguments and counter arguments and examples and counter examples and explanations for a lot of things. So if you want access to that, it's like $4 or $5 a month and it'll help support me. It's not like really meant to be like a public thing. It's just like a kind of my private notes that I've made available so that people have an incentive to support me. So do it. It's like $4 or $5 a month. It's a cool thing to do, and I'll like you more if you do it. We have 2 more super chats and we'll just call it a day then. So from Dan O'Connell with the 7 Canuck bucks, dryer sharks are the cause of missing socks. Indeed they are. They eat them. Yeah. And from Musical Monkey with the $2, now I'm wondering if dryer sharkophobia is a thing. It is not, but now it will be. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.